A volcano tears the sky open, and something enormous rises out of the boiling water. A scaled monster the size of a hill, all teeth and glowing eyes. That's the world we're walking into. Two armored hunters wade through the shallows toward it. Apostles, humans armed with the powers of gods. The younger one's light flares blue as the thing turns their way. They hit it together, steel and light. The creature recoils, then bursts apart in a roar of fire. A glowing rune snaps open mid-air, and an apostle in silver-white armor pours a blast of blue-white power straight down the monster's throat. The whole top of the monster's head just caves in under the hit, its screaming mouth swallowed in white light. One clean blow kills the calamity, and its dying words mourn a lost apostle. But this is the thing about being a hero out there. Back home, Earth got left behind. From above, the city is nothing but cracks and rubble. Dead quiet. The planet's basically an old game. After the servers shut off, all its life drained out. People wander broken roads or just crouch in empty rooms waiting for nothing. So when a survivor catches a broadcast of those dispatchers fighting on other worlds, he can't look away. Hero's chosen to leave this dying rock behind, and he's standing here in the ruins watching them win. His face hardens, he picks up a glowing scythe, climbs the wreckage, and stares out at the horizon with one thought. Could I become one too? Then divine light cracks open the sky, the same otherworldly power he's just been eyeing. A bright hexagon burns over the ruined city, and a man in a blue jacket turns toward it in the doorway, forced to face the threat looming over what's left of his home. And here's where it gets personal. Years back, this was a kid alone in a field with a soccer ball, calling out for a dad who wasn't coming. His caregiver promised she'd go find dad, sleep alone just a few days, wait for me. He waited, and just like that, he was left alone in the dark. Then the same golden light finds him. He barely gets out what's going on before it swallows him whole. Still back in that dark memory, the golden light doesn't just find the abandoned kid, it slams into him. It hurls him backwards screaming wah and drops him flat. He lies there dazed as a strange wrapping around him lights up blue. Then a two-tone seal snaps to life over his whole body, binding him with a mark he can't undo. Whatever just chained itself to him, it's sealed in now. Cut to the present. A grown man sits up clutching his head, muttering it felt like his skull was splitting open. That man is Chan-Su, and he grabs his phone totally lost. The news explains the quakes and light. An S-Class returner came back to Earth in an emergency, and now he's retiring. On stage, the returner stands with his arm in a sling, telling everyone the disaster was his fault. Then a message hits Chan-Su's screen. It just begs him, please protect Earth. He holds the phone up to his face, stunned. Our boy's first read is dead flat? Huh, some prank? Then a voice answers back, and it knows his name. He waves it off, and a little white rabbit with a pink bow just cackles at him. A talking rabbit. Chan-Su barely gets out a talking before his brain fully short-circuits. The rabbit shows him a document and gets straight to it. Chan-Su has been chosen. It's paperwork from the World Dispatch Center, the hub that processes people leaving Earth as dispatchers. The rabbit points out that most people get at least one special talent. Chan-Su, walking across a gleaming floor, flatly admits he's got nothing anyone would call a talent. We flash to the reason he's so sure. Back then, he was tested for a talent and came up empty. Younger Chan-Su walks a glowing corridor, hand to his head, up to one massive sealed door. He stares up at it, floored by the sheer size, then throws himself at it to force it open, but the door rejects him, flinging him clean across the air. He slides down the wall and just gives up, muttering, as if that would ever open. That memory of being the kid with nothing is exactly what he's carrying now. Back in the present, the rabbit throws his own words right back at him. I'm simply quoting your own words, Chan, it says, holding him to it. Then it rushes him toward a doorway, yelling at him to hurry, and asks if he's actually heard of what's coming. They dig into a box together, and out comes an ornate golden medallion, proof of what they've been searching for. The only question left hanging, which god does it belong to? The rabbit lays it out plain. Decide right now, and a god is yours. The kid grits it out, I will. No more sliding down walls, muttering about doors that never open. The draw plays out like a penalty kick. Chan-Su lines up a glowing ball and boots it, then freezes at the result. Why am I hesitating like an idiot? He snaps at himself and swings for it. The kick lands, and Chan-Su's summon answers. Out of the dark rises a skeletal hooded thing with burning eyes, wearing a purple sigil. The god he gambled his choice on has arrived. Our boy holds up his card to the rune, and the system spits back its name, God of Injustice, sitting at 44% power. The grim figure faces him and grinds out. An introduction like this, Chan-Su recoils. Ah, no. Then, hoping he misread it, wait a minute, for real? He steadies himself and swears, this time for sure. The card flips again, and it's the same grim face, God of Injustice at 45%. The kid throws his head back. Every single time, the rabbit shrugs and warns him this is his last chance. The cards scatter, and a green burst swallows the card in the middle as Chan-Su takes his final gamble. One, he shouts, gripping whatever came out. He stares at the card, and the numbers don't make sense. Goddess of Abundance. Rarity 0.6 more zeros than a 1. The system flat out labels it super rare, because apparently the universe ran out of small enough fonts. A figure blooms out of the light in a flower crown, radiant, and the reveal lands. It's the goddess of abundance herself. Chan-Su, who's been losing this all along, finally cracks a smile at his new god. He's lifted up over the crowd, arms reaching. The odds nobody beats now his. His face settles hard. Right, he tells himself, because if he stays the nobody he was, he'll just keep running in place forever. The system chimes in with flowers everywhere. The form of Chan-Su's chosen god is about to show itself, sealing which power he's bound to. Light and petals swirl as that god finally takes shape. And there she is, the god now tied to Chan-Su. Chansu's fate. Long teal hair, a crown of flowers, the gold belt glowing with a green mark, the goddess of abundance in the flesh. Below her, a little vassal pops up to greet him. It's Doji, the goddess's pig apostle, eyes blown wide open like he can't believe what he's seeing either. Our boy turns, grinning, ready to accept all of it. He kneels down and takes the hands of his new apostle form, a little white rabbit. Then a purple vortex rips open around him. The magic swells, the rabbit lights up, and Chansu gets thrown backward flailing, yelling for it to wait a minute. He steadies himself and looks up at the storm of power. Look closely, he tells himself. Isn't it beautiful? No backing down now, not after coming this far. The magic isn't gentle about it though. The kid gets knocked clean off his feet, then swings back up through the purple burst, a glowing rune stamped on his back. An unseen voice presses him. You know why, it says. Have you still not given up on your god? Chansu just holds his ground. A system bar loads up to 78%, then done. Our boy blinks. Huh? What's happening? A green interface pops into his hands and he reads it, and the truth lands hard. That percentage he saw earlier was never his odds of winning at all, but something else entirely that changes what he's up against. Energy flares and symbols burn as a portal tears open in a dead, ruined wasteland, the gateway that dumps him out into this desolate place with no way back in sight. The kid lands in the ruins, hand on his head, looking around at the emptiness. He mutters, trying to figure out what the hell just happened to him. He slides down a slope toward the wreckage, hunting for anything useful. This is the field now, and he's here to find the tools of his new farming trade. Then it breaks him. Our boy throws his head back and laughs, wide and unhinged, half joy and half pure disbelief at the mess he's landed in. And that's where it leaves him, grinning like a lunatic in the ruins. A preview teasing the crowd of faces waiting to complicate his life next. The kid decides he can't just stand around in the ruins, so he starts poking through the wreckage for anything useful. That's when something catches his eye on the ground. A sickle. He picks it up, turning it over, wondering who the hell drops a farming tool in a dead wasteland. Then a dark shape rises up in front of him, eyes glowing, and the thing manifests into a full-on monster. On pure instinct, Chansu swings the sickle up at it. The blade connects, the monster lets out a wet slash sound, and Chansu just stares. His starter tool one-shot a monster on the first try. But where the monster died, something small and white is sitting there sobbing its eyes out. A tiny rabbit-looking creature crying its heart out, going chi-chi. Chansu, ever the businessman, figures a monster is a monster, and maybe he cashes in if he catches it. It squeaks at him, and against his better judgment, he admits it's kind of cute and scoops it up. Then it wriggles loose and starts squeaking louder from a few feet away. Our boy lunges to grab it again, and the little thing suddenly unleashes a burst of raw power that turns this from an easy catch into something far more dangerous. The blast catches him mid-reach and shoves him back, strain all over his face. But he refuses to let go, clamping down on the creature even as the energy pours off it. He grips it tight and rides out the surge, energy wrapping around both of them, and the creature just squeaks away happily like nothing's wrong. The kid tries actually talking to it, asking if it lives around here, if it knows the very abundant one he's supposed to be tied to. All he gets back is chi. He gives up. Talking is clearly off the table. So he shrugs and decides to just follow the thing. Fine, let's see where you take me. It leads him running across the wasteland until he stops dead in front of a massive ancient tree. There on the ground, a worm-like creature is squirming in the dirt. Our boy claps a hand to his head, realizing this pathetic writhing worm is the very abundant one he's supposed to be bound to. Nothing like any goddess he pictured. He tenses up, half distress and half disgust as it flails in front of him. Then the worm convulses hard and its whole body splits open. The kid stares at the twitching worm, shaking his head. There's no way this thing is the very abundant goddess he got tied to. Then a green light seeps up out of the dirt around it, the same divine energy that marks a goddess, meaning this pitiful worm really is the being he's bound to. He mutters that whatever he pictured, it was nothing like this sorry weed. He leans in close, basically inspecting the worm like a bug under glass. A status window pops the numbers. God of Injustice at 44%, Goddess of Abundance at a heartbreaking 0.000001%. He hears the little chi and it hits him. This dying worm really is her, running on almost no faith at all. The worm convulses and blasts out a raw scream of power, the eruption slamming right back into her own tiny body. The effort of clinging to life nearly tears her apart from the inside. She comes to and cheers herself on, thrilled she survived. Our boy pours out water to feed the little goddess, and she drinks it down like she hasn't had a drop in ages. The energy pools and steadies, and the goddess pulls herself together with real power for the first time. Refreshing, she sighs. Starved that long, 1 cup of water counts as a comeback. Now with the goddess awake, Chansu and the tiny apostle creature find themselves in a fight. Something out there is already coming for them, and the little thing shrieks the alarm. A dark entity lunges and gets a grip on the creature, and the little thing squeals in pain. The kid spins around, no idea what's attacking. The shadow rises up and hammers them both with energy strikes, overwhelming the pair who can't fight back. The creature cries out again while Chansu takes a hit and goes down, leaving them defenseless. The dark thing presses in, telling itself it has to finish this. It knocks the apostle flat and spreads across the field. But the creature isn't done. It steadies up, says it can see the enemy clear now, and cuts loose a counterattack straight into the shadow. Then Doji the pig vassal drops in to meet the incoming strike and answers with a double slash of his own. He lands right beside Chansu, who jolts back with a shocked "you" as the pig makes his entrance. Doji takes a hit and gets flung skyward, so Hamdol jumps into the fight to cover them. Our boy watches the tiny creature squealing beside him, and it hits him. Even this little thing keeps shielding him when everything's falling apart. Hamdol drops to his knees, sick over some mistake he made. He blurts out that he's sorry, he messed up like an idiot, while the little one squeaks back at him. The little creature squeaks in forgiveness, and Hamdol lights up thanking her. Then he says he just came up with a name for her, so how about it? He offers the name up, insisting it isn't too scary for the difficulty she's on, settling on what she'll be called from now on. Everyone just kind of stares. A man comes sprinting in and finds the little yellow creature and the pink rabbit thing on the ground, both squeaking up at him. Then Shansu gets yanked somewhere else entirely, hanging in a glowing blue void with branching tendrils. No idea what's happening. Shansu falls through the emptiness as some huge structure looms up, drops into a dead gray landscape, and stares around confused at the monster-shaped ruins. Then creatures start clawing up out of the dirt. Shansu calls it reading the system tip. These barrow monsters are slow and powers up to meet them. The system flashes, Decapitate is live. Shansu cuts straight through the crowd as they surface and mows the whole wave down before they can close. Shansu straightens up after, satisfied, while the little creature squeaks away happily in the sunlight. The little creature ribs Hamdol, chirping that anyone watching from outside would swear he did all the work himself, then just nuzzles right into him. Shansu holds up a glowing green thing tagged an immortal demon and wonders out loud why they even call it that. The answer, apparently, keep hunting and you'll find out. That hunt is exactly what pays off next. The kid calls on his goddess, and the god of injustice looks on as the goddess answers to her name, Abundance. The goddess of abundance manifests as a beaming little plant creature, thrilled to be summoned at all. Our boy watches the effect and mutters it's working way better than he expected. Now he's got a plant creature in hand and no clue what to do with it. So he does the only thing a decapitation farmer knows. He presents the creature to a tree and lets the power rip through it. Turns out harvesting here means slaughter, and slaughter grows crops. Quick catch up, Shansu drew the impossible goddess of abundance and just learned her farming works by slaughter. Now he's trying to turn that into crops and cash before anything on this dead world eats him first. A little UI window pops up and lays down the rule. Every blessing costs points. The kid checks the points he racked up killing monsters and grins because he's got plenty to burn. So he lines up the plant creature against the ground and fires his decapitation power straight through it, muttering, let them all taste this. He hammers it again and again, forcing the plant to grow by pouring his power into it, tearing up everything around the potted creature. The effect rips through the dirt like a wave. Then it's over, and Shansu says flat out, it is done. New growth punches up out of the ground where there was nothing. He looks down, and the little creature is suddenly holding real glowing fruit. He barely gets out. This is because in a single instant, a giant tree explodes up out of the wasteland, heavy with red apples. Our boy just stares at it, farming this world's way. Then he's laughing, arms full of apples that prove his power can turn barren wasteland into food. His first real harvest means he can finally feed himself here. Cut ahead 4 days. That one tree wasn't a fluke, it was a business plan. But points come from killing, and out here the killing is everywhere. Neon runes flare across the dead ground, and a skeletal reaper drags a scythe through it, its skull eyes burning. So to survive, Shansu drops the whole selling crops idea and turns full-time monster hunter. 3 fighters push through the snow, weapons up, they corner a white-haired creature and cut it down mid-scream. Ugly work, but every kill feeds his points. 2 little orbs glow in the dark, one green with a plant mark, one blue with a swirl. His skill even gets an upgrade, tweaked to bring back the heads of dead animals or monsters, so nothing he kills goes to waste. But 4 days of butchering wears on him, and it shows on his face tight and hollow. Back at camp, the little goddess creature tugs at him for more apples. The kid just laughs in the trees while she begs. She stares at this rough young man and wonders out loud why a child like this came to her of all the apostles she could have gotten. He leans in and asks it straight, goddess, half hope, half disbelief that this pipsqueak plant is a divine being. Then he's holding a red orb, face twisting between anger and shock as rain comes down, the weight of what he's actually bound to finally landing. But the mood breaks fast. He scoops up a squeaking little white rabbit creature and just cracks up. For 1 second, no killing, no gods, just a broke genius holding a rabbit. So the goddess, still stuck in her tiny worm form, cuddles the little white rabbit against her face, pleased for 1 second. Then she remembers the job and complains that apples alone just aren't enough. She holds up a glowing little screen showing events running, progress ticking along, then goes back to comforting the squeaking rabbit. Our boy just tells her to pull the blanket over herself and sleep, goddess, like she's a kid he's tucking in. Meanwhile, the whole crop business needs people to actually run it, and that lands us at the Temple of Circulation. Inside, a woman flings a stack of documents down, then freezes in shock at her own outburst. She turns to the man at the desk, scared, and asks if she did something wrong. He shakes his head, worn out, and tells her no, she didn't, while he sits there gripping his own papers, looking just as buried by the workload. She leans over the desk to keep working, buried in the same overwhelming workload, and when they end up face to face, he puts a hand on her shoulder to steady and reassure her that they'll get through it together. She gasps, then grips a document glowing with those divine markings, steadying herself. Staring at it, she says the quiet part out loud, that she hopes all of this isn't for nothing, and holds the papers tight with real resolve. Back with the goddess, she lights up her blue tablet again and reminds herself of the ugly rule she's living under. Raise favorability bit by bit, or she withers into a mummy. But her count won't climb without more faith, and if it stalls, the mummy fate closes in. Just then, something above sets her off. She spins, clutching a small bear, alarm all over her face. From From behind, we see what spooked her. Undead things clawing their way up out of the ground. She confirms it under her breath. They really are undead monsters, just like people said. Someone throws himself in front of her, shielding her and the creature from the first strike, then draws a sword lit up blue. He cuts a slashing purple blast straight down, and it smashes into the nearest undead, buying them a breath of room. Deeper in the tunnel, another hand rises glowing. But what answers it is worse. A dark thing with whipping tentacles and glowing eyes drags itself into view. The creature looms huge over Chansu, who's suddenly outmatched and alone against it. A lone fighter facing a monster far bigger than himself on Undead Night. It slams him down hard, then hammers Force straight into the ground where he lands, and finally launches him up off his feet like a rag. The tentacled undead hammers Chansu again, and his face twists as it throws him around like nothing. But it keeps swinging from above, and Chansu just stands there, taking the blows without a scratch. The assault that was crushing him now can't hurt him at all. His eyes sharpen. Whatever the goddess's blessing gave him, he's ready to use it now. The kid plants his hands on his hips, feet apart, hovering off the ground like he owns the tunnel. Even the watching undead can only gawk. One of them practically gasps that this is insane. Our boy grins, cold and satisfied, under a neon glow, because the power finally answers to him. He reaches up into a glowing field and forces it wide open, seizing the power for himself so it now bends to his will. Winged sandals carry him into the air, and even the onlookers can only mutter crazy. He grips his glowing rabbit form power and drives into the swarm as they rush him. Then the real threat unfolds. A massive immortal monster tears itself into view, and its twisted face keeps advancing. The kid strikes the beast down, and what's left of it is just bones on the dead ground. Hand to his chin, he frowns. I don't even see any signs of cleansing, he mutters, because these things really are undead, not corrupted farmland. Then a soothing green light rises off him, the goddess's power finally purging the undead from the field and ending the threat. Back in the calm after, Chansu beams in an apple orchard, the tiny worm form goddess right beside him. He works out the cost as he grows them. Each blessed apple burns 1,000 points, so he'll need to raise favor bit by bit. Down a forest path, someone bows deep. "Excuse me, Mr. Ochan," the man calls, waving to a delivery Chansu set up. They shake hands, the buyer nervously admitting Chansu stood out so much, and Chansu thinks I shouldn't let my guard down. A tiny squishy sound pulls his attention, and it's the goddess again, being difficult. When someone frets over her condition, she waves it off, insisting she's fine. Even as a male figure strikes her down with his fist, she only wants to touch the apple. Our boy holds the little creature up close, and the buyers can't hide it. One taste like this, and these apples could easily sell for a fortune. The buyer walks the orchard, red apples hanging fat and glowing, and it hits him mid-step. He grabs one and blurts it out. It's not just the tree, the fruit itself is on a whole different level. He turns the apple over in his hand and does the math out loud. A taste this good, he says, could easily go for 50,000 a pop. The goddess squeaks, and the buyer's partner cuts in, hands on hips, telling Chansu he's underselling. Charge 20,000 gold minimum. The goddess squeaks again in shock. That's insane money, Chansu thinks, just for a box of apples going to some department store. The buyers are already fighting over who gets to sell them, insisting these apples will move no matter the price, which drives Chansu's payout even higher. To him, it's the same thing a divine power fight looks like, just with coins on the table. With the deal locked, Chansu watches his own numbers move. Somewhere above, one of them announces it plainly. Their share has jumped. The kid sits back satisfied, playing with the little goddess while she squirms in his hand, and for once the money and the deity are both on his side. He's already planning the next move. He'll grow other crops too, feel out each one himself and learn the ropes. He puts it to work, and a fresh plant shoots up while the goddess watches. Sitting there among the harvest, he actually thanks her out loud, all of it down to her power. The goddess touches a crop and the power number climbs to 22, then leaps again into an evolved blessed form glowing pink. Every jump means more value hanging on his trees. Two of the little apostles are already bickering over the fresh eggs, one squawking that he's the senior so the hatchlings belong to him. He plants his claim and the whole building shakes with it. Our boy kneels and cracks open the deal himself, cupping two glowing egg things and tapping the green skill sign to hatch them. He grumbles that he burned 120,000 points on this. Out pop two tiny yellow chicks, cheeping and stumbling around. Chansu was hoping for something a little more impressive, so he just slumps to the floor, done with it. Then he perks up and laughs anyway, hand out on the rooftop while one little chick waddles over to him. A chick and a pig tumble in close together as a small figure drops right between them, and Chansu grips his staff with both hands and sets his face hard, bracing to fight now that his summoned creatures are under threat. A dark, shadowy beast slams into the ground, cornered as the apostles close in to watch it fall. Its white-masked head lifts into view. The kid sits cross-legged, eyes glowing pink, grinning like a maniac. Been a while since I had chicken, he says, eyeing his own new chick apostle. He shakes his head and comes back to himself, hand on his skull. Beside him, the pig apostle squeals up a storm, thrilled to greet its master. Our boy reaches out to pet the pig, then jolts with a sudden ah, like an idea just landed. The chick chirps a warning at the pig anyway. Easy, pig. We can't look like all we do is eat. Chansu cups his hands gently around the pig, and the whole farm team is officially bigger now. Pig, chick, and the goddess. He scatters feed from a golden bowl, and the pig apostle Doji, the pig vassal, tears into it. The kid just shrugs, saying Doji's always been a big eater, no surprise there. Then the goddess overloads, her eyes blazing as she unleashes a burst of power that costs her everything. Both she and Chansu crumple to the ground, completely wrung out, while a startled onlooker finds the little worm goddess collapsed and helpless beside him. All that farming carnage was built building to one thing, the sale floor. We cut to a department store entrance, blue energy still glowing off Shansu's hand as he sets up shop. A crowd is packed around the Emperor Apple display, and even at 88% off, the boxes are stacked high. Our boy watches from above and nods. Decent turnout. Down in the gift box sit 2 red apples on a white base, and the real prize gets its label, a single gold-dusted Emperor Apple. The profit dream finally sitting on a shelf with a price tag. On the shelf sits the real prize, a single Emperor Apple dusted in Winterbird's feather, tagged at 200,000 gold. That's the number the whole farm empire has been building toward. And the sky-high price does exactly what Shansu wants, turning the apple into a status symbol shoppers fight over. A hand clenches into a fist, and one shopper grabs another by the shirt, the tag scaring some off even as it reels others in. But the crops aren't just for selling. Shansu decides the way to really prove their worth is to cook them, so he tells the goddess not to worry and gets to work. He lifts a dark glowing pot over the fire. Then, first, he says, and drops the blessed potatoes in. Out come golden roasted potatoes, and the first bite proves his point, that her own harvest is worth far more cooked than sold. Eyes closed, fork trembling, the goddess of abundance moans through a mouthful. Her eyes literally start glowing from the flavor, while Shansu, pleased with himself, keeps serving her more. Then the mood breaks. The goddess of abundance, a farming deity so long ignored she was starved down to a helpless worm, sits there stunned by how good it tastes and how much trouble he went to serving crops she worked so hard to grow. Her head bows, and for a second, the tough little worm goddess goes quiet, the fear of being useless right there on her face. Shansu just shrugs it off. I'll supply, he tells her, promising to keep the crops coming, and that flips her mood completely. The goddess of abundance lights up laughing, pink aura pouring off her, back to a deity with an actual purpose. So they get back to work, harvesting on the barren land, while the little creatures crowd around. One egg cracks open, and a tiny chick pops out chirping. Then the fun stops cold. A dark armored attacker corners Doji the pig vassal, and swings down on the helpless little creature, the harvest piece shattered as one of their own is suddenly under assault. Doji recoils from the hit, squealing. Shansu spots it and screams for the pig to move, calling him an idiot, but he's too far. Get away from our Doji, someone shouts as the entity's claws rip into the ground right next to the pig, who can only chirp out one last panicked squeak. Quick catch-up. Shansu drew the impossible goddess of abundance, turned her farming powers into cash, and now runs a little empire on barren land. But right now, a dark armored thing has him pinned on open ground, crushing him flat. Shansu's whole read on this enemy just broke. Its skills range stretched way past what it had a second ago, and its speed jumped too. He can't get out of the way fast enough. Shansu tumbles down through the environment, but he grips his axe and drags himself back up, face set hard. He's not done. Meanwhile, Akasha, the little creature being, is squealing and flailing as the whole magic space around them goes haywire. Then Akasha screams the alert straight to the goddess. Goddess, we have a huge problem. The little creature scatters, shocked and confused. Back on Shansa, the creatures crowd around him, panicking. Eyes squeeze shut in distress as the pressure keeps building. And then Shansu grins, eyes lit red, power roaring off him. Instead of dreading this threat, he's decided to face it head on. And that shift is what turns the crisis around. Shansu turns to the plant creature and demands, "Did you hand out that skill too?" It just blinks back, caught off guard. Power erupts off him as he triggers his harvesting skill, eyes blazing, and it sweeps the whole field at once, reaping every plant creature in range in a single stroke. Because here's the thing bugging Shansu. How did his skill evolve to harvest a wide area all at once? He asks flat out, isn't that something only first-year apostles get to do? The little creature just glows with question marks over its head. That question kicks him into a skill selection screen, and the system lays out the choice. Keep the promise of abundance, or take communication. Shansu is not happy about it. And this is where the goddess side of things gets petty. Someone floats up furious, spitting that they trusted him, thought of him as family, then swears revenge, vowing to peck the enemy until the beak breaks. The vow lands with a full-on transformation, a new form manifesting core and all. Whatever this communication path just unlocked, Shansu's stuck with it now. That tree form still looming over him, Shansu flinches back like it might actually bite, and right on cue, the system throws its warning in his face. Never pick the communication skill. But the menu makes him choose anyways, so he picks. The status window locks in, and he pumps a fist as it confirms the acquisition. His skill list settles, beheading and promise of abundance, both his now. Shansu celebrates with power crackling around him. He turns over a glowing orb of that power in his hand, and beside him a divine plant blooms, heavy yellow fruit pouring out light. Down in the stone hall, he crouches with the little goddess creature, eyeing a green well of energy, then mutters that the cost stings a bit. Oh well. That cost gets paid off fast, because next thing he's slamming crop out of the ground, and a customer's already calling his name across the market. His big seller is the Emperor Apple, and it's blown up so hard he's had to cap it at 1 per person. Even with that limit, 5,000 people have already reserved one. And there's the hook nobody else can touch. Only the goddess of abundance can grow fruit like this, so Shansu is the sole supplier. That monopoly is what makes his whole plan work. He nods to himself, thinking it through, hand on his chin out in the open, and lands on the plan with a little spark of realization. Good idea. So he pitches it, and a woman shoots back, demanding, is he kidding? Doubting the whole thing works. Shansu fires the question right back at her. He steps through a hospital doorway while someone watches from the side, then snaps a photo of his goods, grinning, dead satisfied with himself. He writes it all up on a tablet, then comes down carrying a yellow box, a premium gift set, 4 apples nestled inside. He holds holds one apple out to a woman as a sample of his premium goods, and the second she considers it, golden vines erupt around the fruit in a burst of divine energy, marking this as no ordinary fruit. She takes a bite and yelps that this is insane. A guy hands her another utensil still in her hand, while below them a young man gasps in distress. That young man grips a thin knife, straining to prep more of the fruit, upset that his premium gift set is being devoured as free samples. On the phone, the woman adjusts her glasses and brags she's a VIP at Cycle Department Store, then jabs a finger and orders double, no, triple. Shansu just grins, calm and easy, taking it all in stride as the woman keeps upping her order for the magic apples he's selling, a fruit that sprouts a whole tree the instant you eat it, so her greed is about to cost her more than she bargained for. Off to the side, the dark-clothed figures haggle over price, one telling the other not to be stingy. Shansu swings, and the decapitation skill fires off in a flash, harvesting the crop the way only he can. On the phone, the VIP customer flashes a thumbs up, sealing her fat triple order like she just won something. Below her, that young man is still gripping his blade, face twisted, clearly hating every second of this deal. Then Shansu turns to the little worm-form goddess sitting in the dirt, still clutching a brown seed. He crouches down and half jokes for someone to protect the goddess for him. He turns back to business and inspects a glowing golden sphere floating in front of him. 3 of them hover, tagged as carbs. Bread and plant protein drift up beside them, and Shansu crosses his arms, thinking his stock is good but not enough. He mutters that it's time for some protein. The goddess looks up confused as Shansu drops down through a space stacked with boxes to chase his new idea. He crouches and receives what he needs, the goddess glowing behind him, and finds himself staring at petri dishes of lab-grown meat. He's only ever seen this in pictures, and his mouth is already watering. So he grows the meat, cooks it, and holds up a slab of red cultured beef, thrilled that he's finally turned his lab-grown protein into a real meal. Nearby Doji, the pig vassal. The pig vassal squeals in distress at the sight. Shansu casts his blessing over the plant life, but a voice cuts in warning him the goddess is still hungry and he should go check on her. He walks over to the little plant goddess, while a chick nearby eyes a big red chunk of meat in pure terror. Then he tries the meat himself and lights up, biting in and grinning that it's actually good. But when he looks back, the goddess has vanished from her spot, and it hits him why she kept refusing to eat the plants he grew. Shansu hovers his chopsticks over the tiny plant creature and reaches for the distressed little thing, finally realizing what she actually needs from him. The little plant goddess is slipping away, and Shansu hears her tiny voice crack. She begs him not to go, wailing that she's his apostle, don't leave her. So he crouches down beside the little thing on the ground and just scoops her up. In his white rabbit form, Shansu holds her close and comforts her. The clock ticks over to 11:59. She keeps begging, more please, more, but he cuts her off flat, no more. There's no turning back now. Then something shifts. A soft pink being approaches the little goddess in the grand hall, drawn to her as she stands alone in the cathedral light. Light pours out of her, sparks flaring off her tiny body as her power comes rushing back. A word blinks in the air. Okay, she's fed now, and she's whole again. We pull back to a wide, endless stretch of land, and a new voice muses that from far away it looked like it went on forever. Somewhere else entirely, a hand grips a lantern lid and gives it a twist. The glass dome comes apart, and the guy holding it grumbles about the timing of all the moments for his lantern to break. And breaking is exactly what it does. Light bursts out of the shattered lantern and floods the dark. He jerks back, stunned. Huh? Is all he manages before he understands what he just let out. A swarm of dark insect things pours out of the broken lantern and rains down on him. He screams as they cover him. Desperate to shield himself, he throws up a hand and blue energy erupts out. A blast of it detonates through the rocks, and he's caught right in the middle of his own explosion. Out of the blue light, something huge climbs free, glowing white eyes fixed on him. He recognizes them and snaps. What are these immortal Oni doing here? The Oni chitter and screech, delighted, then lunge with claws out. He barely twists clear of the first swipe. Rather than run for good, he drops down fast and picks his moment. Then he drives a strike straight up into the Oni, and the impact leaves it gaping. He plants a kick and lets loose, seizing the opening to thin out the Oni before they can swarm him. This is my chance, he shouts, ripping into them with red energy. He keeps climbing into them, no letting up, and unloads everything at once. Red and white power tearing through the swarm together. Shansu drives everything he has into the last Oni and blasts it back. One final crushing hit and the thing is done, the whole swarm going with it. He drops back down through the air and the Oni are gone. All that's left is the calm blue space and Shansu standing in the middle of it, breathing. The last of the dark shapes just float there, drained of their fight, while our boy waits it out. Then he's lying still, eyes closed, the fight finally over. Now we cut to a very different room, where a blonde man is leaned over a table, looking like the sky just fell on him. Someone asks him, sir? And he snaps back a hard what? He barks that it's the stupidest question he's ever heard. And across from him, a man is basically begging, please tell me no. But the blonde man just breathes out slow, and the answer is written all over him. He leans in and lays it out. He went straight to their president to dig for the truth, but the man wouldn't say a word. All he got was one detail, an apple grower. He tries again anyway, hoping this one won't clam up the same way, and he says the quiet part out loud. They say there's really no one you can trust anymore. A woman looks up, caught off guard, while the man beside her rests a hand on her back. She stands there looking down, sad and pensive, chewing on that same line about trust. Then someone new sizes up the whole mess and doesn't like his odds. He wanted this to go the easy way, but he can already tell it won't. So he draws his blade. The people below spot the danger above them and go straight to panic. One of them just gasping, we're dead. The sword sword comes down hard and the whole place erupts. When the dust clears, he's standing in the wreckage, and all he says to himself is, a kindred soul, huh? The others are still huddled on the ground, staring up as the blade falls, one face twisted tight with pain. That's the Swordmaster, and he's just marked Shansu's people as his problem. Shansu's people are still sizing up the stranger who strides right down the corridor between two looming figures, unbothered, while they trade the same worn line about how nobody around here really trusts anybody. Then a memory kicks in about why the mood turned. Someone recalls a warning that came through fast and worried. A Swordmaster is on his way here, and soon? That doesn't add up to one of them sitting outside. Swordmasters have unrestricted passage everywhere, he says, so why would anyone block one of them at all? The answer arrives as a blast tearing down from above. Whoever's up there isn't waiting for permission. Green power detonates, and one of them takes it straight to the head, reeling, clutching his skull as the energy washes over him. A full sword technique blooms out, a wall of force swallowing everything in its path. An all-out attack meant to overwhelm them before they can react. One of them gasps, still hugging a little creature to his chest, staring up as the light peaks. And there he is, dropping down blade first, sword aimed at whatever waits below. An onlooker finally names him out loud, saying he has to be the Swordmaster, right, marking this arrival as someone dangerous enough to fear. Cut to somewhere much calmer. 2 days on, a buyer walks up to a farm stall and gets straight to it. He came to buy apples. He floats the numbers, 100, maybe 200 if it can be done. The vendor jolts, 200? That's a stretch and everyone knows it. The buyer studies the merchant's flat face and reads him wrong. Figures he's just down on his luck. Meanwhile, the seller is quietly weighing whether he can even scrape 100 together without going broke. Then something shifts. Eyes closed, jaw sets, and the calm salesman decides to just make the apples himself. Power drops through the canopy, plunging past the traps and tangle of vegetation, and he never blinks. One onlooker mutters that his expression hasn't changed at all. He raises a hand and green symbols flare to life, channeling his power through his outstretched palms to force the fruit into being himself rather than buy it. And out of that light, ripe fruit just materializes. A red-haired man beside him asks everyone to hold on a second, because the apples they wanted are being conjured on the spot. Quick recap of where our boy stands. Shansu drew the goddess of abundance, the farming god nobody wanted, and turned her divine crops into a cash machine. Right now he's mid-sale, conjuring apples on the spot for a buyer instead of haggling over price. But the red-haired swordsman beside the buyer decides to test him, and the two go from standing still to trading blows fast. Shansu isn't budging, so the swordsman commits. The swordsman's blue power slams into Shansu's, and the shockwave blows through the apples between them, proving the harvest god's gifts can hold up in a real fight. Shansu gives ground but stays standing. Then Shansu answers with something else entirely. A massive dome of power swallows the field, and the swordsman finds himself hanging inside a sphere with nowhere to swing. Cornered, the swordsman draws his real weapon, a glowing curved blade, apples still raining down around him as he grips it two-handed. He throws everything into one strike, and Shansu swats it. The swordsman gets knocked clean through the air, and his expression barely changes as he goes down. The strongest guy here just lost, and quietly. Then a woman calls out to the buyer from behind, and he nearly jumps out of his skin. She flatly announces she's heading back now, and he panics. The buyer bolts through the forest to catch her, desperate, waving that he'll throw in more apples if she just waits. He needs this deal not to walk away. Shansu watches the whole scramble and thinks it over. Stable supply, huh? That's the word that matters to him, because a steady buyer means steady profit. The young apostle reaches out to the older one, and gets only a hesitant well, in return. Something's off about how strong the red-haired swordsman really was, and it's bothering them. Evening falls as the power flares between them again, and the two are still hung up on the same worry. Just how strong is that red-haired swordsman actually? Nobody has a clean answer, and not knowing leaves them exposed. Shansu moves off through his forest, everything around him lush and thriving, exactly the stable supply he was banking on. But the peace doesn't hold. A coat-wearing enemy tests Shansu, hitting the ground hard and sending someone flying back through the air. The clash is on again. Shansu throws his hands up and power symbols flare as he grabs the incoming force out of the air, then drops to his knees and presses both palms into the earth. He rises again from the mist, unhurt and calm, showing the enemy's strike failed to put him down. Facing forward, he readies himself as more foes reveal themselves against him. He throws his arms up triumphant, catching whatever's thrown at him with those power symbols, then kneels and channels it straight down into the ground. Head bowed, the power courses through him and into the earth, feeding the farm even mid-fight. Then his gaze snaps upward, dead set, and the enemy just stares, completely lost, muttering what in the world is going on, which honestly is the only sane reaction to watching a man farm someone to death. A woman with reddish-brown hair throws herself at a coated apostle, blades flying between them as she forces the fight into close quarters to keep him from breaking away. The man in the coat stands over a crouched apostle and calmly says the task's finished. Then, weapon in hand, he asks if he's been waiting long. The apostle just blinks, confused, and the coated man drops the real reason he's here. He's curious what an apple grown on this land actually tastes like. Then he stops playing nice. He deflects blade after blade, shrugging off the counterattacks like they're nothing, and drives the apostle back hard. One hit lands clean, and the apostle recoils in pain, staggering under the coated man's advance. So he does the only thing that matters here, pouring his power straight into a seedling while the coated man watches him farm through his own beating. Nearby, a female apostle stops under the apple tree, checking that this is really the one. Shansu's apples, remember, taste different depending on how many points he injects, and he points looks up at the glowing red fruit to explain it. He holds one of the glowing apples up, asking what she meant by calling them ones. And then it clicks. These apples were the exact thing those people were after all along. The female apostle pulls out a syringe crackling with power and drives it into a writhing green and black creature, draining something out of it and sealing that essence into a glowing vial for whatever plan comes next. The male apostle looks up stunned and barely gets out a "did you" before she blasts him with raw magic. He hits the ground hard and mutters that it's broken. She stands over him with an easy little smile, weapon still in hand, like betraying a companion over apple sap was always the plan. Then she notes the real problem. The target has a swordmaster at his side. Meanwhile, Chansu's farm keeps churning out product. A mobile home built for adventurers and rows of bug-repellent plants. Pyrethrum, peppermint, catnip. The dark-haired woman takes a fist to the body and cries out, why again? Struck down once more by the reddish-haired man. Her repeated plea revealing this beating is nothing new for her. But out of all that mess, the system finally pays off. Block 36 flips over to the Abundance faction, and Chansu hits the milestone he's been grinding toward. Finally, I've reached 100 block rights. He's practically giddy, scooping up little creatures and playing with them, before the game hands him a brand new toy, the block trait assignment interface. Chansu cracks open his new toy, the block trait assignment window, and it hands him one choice: growth or death. He's still cradling that little yellow creature marked with a purple SEO symbol, turning the pick over in his head. Then he grins and slams the button for growth, and green power roars up around him as the system pings his ability to level 1. The system breaks growth into 3 flavors. It speeds up plants and animals, it boosts his own skills, and then that last one lands wrong. Spawned monster growth. Chansu's face drops. He screams, clutching the yellow creature, because his farm doesn't just grow crops now, it grows the monsters too. And right on cue, he's sprinting through the forest as a big clawed beast with glowing eyes rears up in his path. He leaps straight at it and cuts it down midair, because a supercharged spawned monster is exactly the problem he just signed up for. Weapon on his hip, he squares up against another beast closing in, because clearing these spawned monsters one by one is the only way to survive the farm he just created. Somewhere else, Chansu rolls up to a new spot and takes a look around, muttering that he just got here. He spots someone shoveling food down like their life depends on it and wonders if the guy's trying to eat himself to death, then turns to a document he's reading to figure out what's going on here. Hamdal, the loyal ally, and Doji, his pig vassal, trudge across the sand while Chansu thinks out loud that the block's new trait means he has to retune the flavor of everything he grows. Then he stumbles onto a picnic, of all things, a whole crowd spread out and having a lovely time on his land. He kicks something aside and stops cold. No, it clicks who's actually sitting at this picnic. The goddess! Chansu realizes the goddess of abundance, the divine chosen, herself is right there among them. Then his eyes catch the guy carving up food beside her, and dread hits that the stranger might be a butcher who slaughters the goddess's sacred creatures. Please don't tell me he's a butcher. But it isn't slaughter. A hand offers up a dangling green plant, and the picnic is really just people sharing his farm's harvest, apples and little creatures scattered across the grass. The goddess of abundance looks across at Chansu, and something in her face softens. Her farming powers finally have an apostle who actually uses them. She spins around, clutching a tiny creature, Giddy, the little worm goddess who feared being useless, now surrounded by proof she isn't. Chansu, holding a small white creature of his own, looks up at her and speaks, pledging to protect the goddess and her creatures, so her farming gift finally has a guardian who won't waste it. Chansu lies flat in the grass, apples and his little creatures scattered all around him, the harvest sprawled out like proof it all worked. Then 2 hands clasp, his and the goddess of abundance, and divine light detonates between them. Golden power pours straight through him. He throws his head back and laughs, giddy, held up in the burst as the goddess's blessing floods into him. Glowing marks blaze across them both. The goddess offers him something and Chansu blinks. Money? He recoils and his whole face shifts as it clicks what she's actually handing him. His expression goes tight against the purple glow, and he sinks down among his little familiars, staggered by how much power the blessing just dumped on him to carry. Then more light erupts, and Chansu is laughing again, welcomed in as a valued apostle, the marks flaring over both of them. A tiny creature perches on his head while he grins in peace, and word slips out that his power now outstrips everyone around him, marking him as a threat on a whole other level. The 2 of them face off talking, and the little goddess shakes her head at whatever Chansu offers. She tells him flat out she doesn't need it. A glowing sacred tree looms up, and Chansu names the worry underneath all this. He doesn't know when a real fight will break out, and he's just hit level 100. So he turns to his crowd of creatures to make his big protective vow. Chansu promises them a swordmaster is going to protect everyone. The creatures do not take this as comfort. They recoil in shock, huddling together in flat-out distress as Chansu gestures like this was good news. Then Chansu unleashes a surge of his power to prove his point, and it terrifies them even more. The pink pig and yellow chick collapse screaming as 2 men watch from a safe distance. The pig wails, tears streaming, absolutely done. One man cracks up laughing while the other winces at the sheer noise of it. And through the whole meltdown, Chansu just smiles warmly, completely unbothered by the creatures losing their minds around him. A foot presses down on a glowing green plant block, and the farm system claims it under him, expanding the territory he controls. Back in the orchard, Chansu stands there holding a red apple, muttering that he's gotten lost in Apple Land again. Then a green system window snaps up in front of him, and his whole face lights with joy. He works the glowing item, and the block gets claimed. It now belongs to abundance. But out in the forest, Chansu glances back back over his shoulder because something is coming. Chansu turns, worry all over his face because something's stirring out on the sandy ground. Magic spreads across the dirt in little glowing sparks, and sitting right in the middle of it is a plump dark cat thing, purring away in its own aura, happy as can be. Chansu kneels down and starts petting the creature, grinning like he found a stray. A kid nearby tugs at him. Wait, that was a call, but Chansu's too busy scratching the thing's chin to care. The cute little cat's face is all joy, leaves drifting around it, then it grows, looming up huge over everyone. And now the harmless pet is a towering predator that has them cornered and outmatched. Chansu and the others scramble back in real fear as the thing lunges. That was a close call. Chansu's eyes go wide, shocked he almost got the whole party killed by petting a calamity. The creature drops its cuddly act and squares up, eyes glowing, all hostility now. Elsewhere, an apostle sits at her desk turning over a report about Chansu. She confirms what someone said about him, then admits she's no expert on this. Still, one line stuck with her. He is exceptionally special. She pictures Chansu and the reason he's exceptionally special. He wields two powers at once, plant energy and blue lightning straight from his hands, something no ordinary person should be able to do. That's what breaks her head. How can someone be an expert in both? She keeps chewing on it until a nastier answer lands. In that case, it must be something borrowed. She lays out the theory. Either he's got the leftovers of a dead god or a divine power item. The system spells it out plainly. An item that lets the user borrow a god's power. That would explain a farmer throwing lightning. She turns the theory over in her mind, then spots a figure closing in from the distance. Why is he coming this way? Sensing danger, she grabs a glowing pink artifact and braces, half ready to defend herself, half alarmed that trouble is heading straight for her. Because this isn't one threat, it's an army forming up. Apostle after apostle flickers into view, each wrapped in their own glowing aura, and rising with them a mass of hooded skeletal figures, one floating above the rest. A skull-faced fighter strikes forward, leading the charge, and in the chaos, one skeleton shoves a bomb at a masked soldier. Eat this bomb. The death cult has arrived, and they came to fight. Quick check on where our foul-mouthed farmer stands. Chansu drew the impossible goddess of abundance and turned her farming blessings into cash and land. But every win draws hungrier eyes, and now a full death cult army is massing at his door. One of his people spots a launcher aimed at them and freezes. Mouth open, Chansu's men brace as the enemy line spreads wide across the field. Somebody mutters, "What is this? Why are they so wide open?" Deeper in the forest, a reddish-haired man makes a hurried plan and entrusts a sacred item to Chan, one of Chansu's own. A handoff meant to keep it out of the cult's hands. Chan clutches it to his chest and nods, okay. Then a fighter grips a cross-marked sword and turns to the swordmaster, the visiting blade brought in for exactly this. "I'm counting on you, swordmaster." Out front, a fighter hefts a red launcher and stares down a lone swordsman walking straight at their line. What's with that guy? Is he alone? He answers by cutting a purple barrier clean apart and striding into the middle of the hooded ranks, forcing his way into enemy territory alone. One enemy up front raises a hand and calls out who they are, the Denial faction. Their leader leans in, straining, and spits pure contempt, telling Chansu's crew that if they came here hungry, they should try a department store instead. He grabs at his target and sneers, asking if they're really prepared to handle the consequences of this. If you want someone to answer every single one, he warns, then plants himself ready. A blonde fighter steps up aggressive robed cultists at his back, and finally coughs up the real reason for all this. Somebody cracked a joke about their mom and crossed the line. On cue, the whole cult starts screaming for blood. Kill him! So this entire army is here because of a mom joke, and one of them shrugs it off like paperwork. This is self-defense, right? Cut away from the battlefield to a quiet room, where one man kneels and begs another for the one answer he needs before anything else. Please just tell me one thing. A man in glasses holds up a white tube and lights up at the pink sap glowing inside it. This sap! He turns businessman fast, confirming there's no extra fee on the deal, then can't stop smiling at what he's holding. The tube pulses with divine aura, and he examines it closely. However, the sap you've brought, he starts weighing it. He hands the container off, and a woman in a coat turns to leave, saying she'll take it to the professor to check. Chansu's cursed farming crops are drawing scholars now, not just cultists. Back in that quiet room, a scholar sits scribbling notes over Chansu's pink sap. The man in glasses can't stop grinning at the tube in his hand. His crops have gone from cult bait to lab curiosity. Then armored warriors pour down through a green vortex, and one lone figure stands in the middle of the aftermath, blades already coming for him. Somebody stares at him and just blurts, "Why is he still standing?" He fights them off perched on a tree branch, calm the whole time. A hooded skeleton warrior swings red energy down at him, and he simply slips under every strike. The skeletal fighter presses harder, so he stops dodging and starts throwing. Bodies scatter, he crushes the skeleton in his grip and laughs as the armor caves and ruined. One faction down, but the Denial faction isn't done. Their caster grins wide and calls his trump card, screaming, "Come forth, Hercules," and a huge purple summoning circle roars to life. The caster cackles, showing off not one, but a whole pack of his summoned Hercules beasts. "Kuhaha, what do you think of my Hercules?" One of them fixes on Chansu and rasps his name like it's marking him. The caster's grin goes manic, and he gives the order, tear him to shreds. The lead Hercules rakes its claws across Chansu, and the hit lands with enough force to blast him backward. The beast looms over him, sure it's finished, but our boy isn't done. He answers from below with a rising counterstrike straight into its skull, breaking free of its grip and riding the recoil up and out of danger. He turns, green power flooding off him, hunting for whoever's really behind this. And there she is, her card flips up, Kim Soy, 470 471, Apostle of Denial. She admits her role was only ever to be the guide. Kim Soi's whole body twists with dark energy and her eye burns red. This is her real skill, and the system spells it out for Chan-Su. She's using Denial of Life to drop a curse straight onto her target. The curse takes hold. It swallows its target in waves, the eye glowing red, the whole face going slack as it sinks in. The system fires one last warning. This thing is dangerous. Kim Soi leans into it, red eyes locked, pouring more of the curse forward. Her whole silhouette drowns in it as she keeps the pressure on Chan-Su. The curse keeps swelling as a second woman with red hair stands nearby, eyes shadowed and unmoving. She's the one caught in its range, and Kim Soi winds up to drop the full weight of the curse onto her. Then she cuts loose, hurling that red destructive blast right at him. Chan-Su takes the hit and it rattles him, but he spits back that she should have known better than to try this on him. Green power floods off him and he shrugs the curse off, then launches himself straight through it at her. Turns out cursing this guy just annoys him. But she isn't standing there anymore. Chan-Su scans the field, furious, and shouts for whoever's really hiding to show themselves. And Kim Soi is cowering low, tucked under something huge that's shielding her. Chan-Su pushes on through his own barrier, but that thing's massive hand and its eye come alive right above her, turning her hiding spot into a trap. Mid-fight, that huge cursed creature comes fully alive, and Chan-Su feels the weight of it in the air. He gets swatted, tumbling down past a building with a cry of "Lo, Han," torn out of him. He lands hard on a rooftop, hunched over, clutching his skull. "Ugh, my head," he groans, the curse still grinding through him. But this rooftop isn't the battlefield anymore. Chan-Su stares out at a quiet city and reaches toward a small child beside him, the curse dragging him into a memory instead of the fight. He's inside a memory. People laughing, a girl dancing, everyone easy and happy in a way he doesn't get to be. Then the goddess of abundance turns and lights up. "Oh, Chan," warm as anything. She tells him they were worried about him, calling him son. She wraps him up from behind, and for once the guy who cynically prices everything just lets it happen. "Leaving again, are you?" she asks, holding on like she already knows the answer. "No," he says, small, in that golden nowhere space. And that's the tell, because a warm word like son is exactly what a lonely nobody never got to hear. Then the warmth breaks apart. The woman he was just embracing screams, red slashing across her face, a tear rolling down as the golden moment collapses around him. A hand grips his collar and yanks him out of it. Chan-Su snaps back to the real rooftop, and the shock hits both of them at once. Kim Soi doesn't waste the opening. She loads up and drives a full power kick straight into him, force exploding on contact. Chan-Su staggers back, breath knocked loose, done playing along with her illusions. So he rips his staff off his belt and squares up, chest heaving, eyes locked on her, ready to fight her for real now that her illusions have failed. No more curses, no more sweet fake memories, just him and whatever comes next. Chan-Su reels, still shaken from the cursed vision Kim Soi forced on him, his head splitting with pain. But her illusions can't hold him anymore, and one hard shove sends her the wrong way. Kim Soi goes down into the green swamp muck, sinking, trapped below the surface. And just like that, the rooftop fight is over. Out in the forest now, Chan-Su stands with an ally, staring at the aftermath. Quietly, he wonders, was it a mistake to step in? They look over a dead creature on the ground, its body confirming the threat is finally down, and one of them starts a question he never finishes. Chan-Su, ever the businessman, starts claiming his cut of whatever they just killed. His ally isn't listening. The creature lies still on the sand, leaves scattered over it, and the ally just looks down at it and goes, "Cute." Chan-Su stares back at him, thrown. What? Then everything shifts. A red system message flashes for Kim Soi, cold and final. "You have lost the war." A formal defeat that turns whatever they were fighting for into a loss she can't undo. We cut to Kim Soi behind metal bars, caged. Another message drops the hammer. "Pay 1 billion gold in reparations." She grabs the bars, furious, and demands to know what power difference could justify this. The system just answers, "Denied." What? She recoils, energy bursting around her as the billion gold penalty locks in with no appeal, leaving her trapped with a debt she can't pay. Two robed skeletal demons, note the count is up to 99. This is a prison, and Kim Soi is one of the caught. A horned masked demon lunges and grapples the captives, and one of them is Doji, the pig vassal, the goddess's 12th apostle. Then Chan-Su appears in the wreckage in his white rabbit apostle form, pink bow and all. The system tags the enemy in front of him, the apostle of denial, 471. Chan-Su rises up off the ground, floating, and delivers the terms plain. If you don't want to suffer a fate worse than death, Chan-Su presses the ultimatum home with a cold little smile, making clear he'll carry out that fate worse than death unless the captives are surrendered. The cute rabbit form making the threat somehow lands worse. But a skeletal demon slams down and pins the apostle, and another has Doji restrained while Chan-Su can only watch. Chan-Su pieces it together out loud, connecting the dots to the fight before. So that's what happened to Kim Soi. A grim little smile. So I guess I'm happy about that. Glad his enemy paid a price even as the demons hold him and Doji trapped with no way out. Then a system window opens. Denial demands to negotiate with an unknown party, and Chan-Su pushes forward through the red energy anyway. The last message spells out the stakes. If the mission's complete, the losers get held as prisoners. And right now, Chan-Su and Doji are the ones in chains. Cornered, Chan-Su snaps at the whole setup. What are you talking about? The apostle across from him just leans in, catcalm, and taunts him back. Aren't you curious? The apostle keeps that knowing smile as the view widens to reveal every player held in separate frames, driving home that they're all trapped in this deadly game together. Whatever this apostle is planning, they want Chan-Su to watch it unfold. Cut out outdoors, and a small black cat creature sits pleased on the sand while someone nearby coos over it. It's cute, they say, right before the pleasant part ends. Doji and Shansu both jolt in alarm, and Ari, the cat calamity apostle, finally spells out the plan. That little creature is going to devour the whole territory's ownership. But Ari squints at it and notices something off. The cat hasn't eaten a single thing yet. Doji deadpan fills in the missing word, it's only holding out for catnip. Ari goes pale. No way? Then throws both hands up and calls on the blessing of abundance, hoping the farming power can bait the beast. Daisies erupt out of nowhere, and the black cat lights up with pure joy, pouncing on the flowers instead of the land. Ari's bait works, diffusing the calamity that was supposed to devour the whole territory. Ari crouches and starts petting it, and the terrifying ownership devourer just purrs and leans in, eyes glowing, while Doji watches the whole thing collapse into a cuddle. Ari insists it still counts. It is a calamity, so it's gotta have a terrifying side too. But the fluffy little things in hand say otherwise, and the big menace above stays a house cat. Shansu just smiles out at the field, hand raised, the danger already defanged behind him. The great territory eater got bought off with plants. The cat gapes wide, red eyes and all, still whining for more, and Shansu keeps the blessing flowing under the big tree. How about, he offers, how about a little more? Someone strolls up, arms crossed, and dryly notes the obvious. Everything's under control now, huh? Shansu answers with a smug little nod. Oh, you actually took this seriously. Then the system windows crowd in again. Negation formally requesting to negotiate, so the fight is officially over and the talking begins. The fighting done, the two settle in to talk, and Shansu lets something quiet slip out, looking away. I saw my parents earlier today. Shansu admits it out loud, eyes shut. Curse, but he starts and can't quite finish it. So the goddess of abundance, the divine chosen, just pulls him into a hug instead of answering. Then something flutters and Shansu flinches. He clutches his arm across his chest, standing there in real pain. He grits his teeth as power starts pouring off the goddess. A pink symbol flares up and she's mid-transformation, her true form breaking through. Shansu shuts his eyes as the light swallows him whole. When it clears, the goddess stands revealed in the rain, her transformation now complete. Now the payoff of all this power, a glowing red heart floats over the blessed food. The goddess cradles the red sphere to her chest like it's precious, but the tiny worm form goddess is still around, smiling over a wilting leaf and squeaking out little distress noises. Someone else holds the red sphere up to their face, sitting down to study it. Shansu grabs his head at the table. My head hurts, he groans, hand near his ear, totally confused about what's happening to him. Two apostles stand together, and one lifts the red sphere up like a prize, threatening to eat it since the tiny creatures won't. Shansu just leans back, eyes shut. Fine, whatever, why am I even worried? If you won't eat, I will. Then he crouches over a bunch of little creatures on the ground, worried, because they're crying out in pain, and one shocked look tells him something's really wrong. He leans in toward a distressed turnip creature. Nearby, Doji the pig vassal, sunglasses on, oinks his verdict, maybe the apostle's doing this on purpose. A pink creature grunts at a yellow one, you're too dumb, and instantly a brown creature grabs the pink one to make it pay. Insult me one more time, I dare you. The yellow creature just watches the brawl with huge eyes, until the pink one turns on it, hurling red spikes through the air and looming over it so the little yellow thing trembles helplessly on the ground. Finally, a plant creature pipes up. Should we get going now? Shansu lets out a tired haw and steps toward the anxious yellow plant nearby. He holds the plant in the foreground, but a hooded figure has quietly appeared behind him. Shansu looks up, caught off guard as her hand grips something tight. The hooded woman looms over him, energy crackling around her as she starts to speak. Even between and Shansu is the one she's confronting, cornered with nowhere to run. Quick catch up. Shansu drew the impossible goddess of abundance, and he's been turning her weird farming blessings into cash and territory, one head at a time. Right now, he's still scraping to keep his little farm empire alive. He cradles a small glowing creature gently in his hands, keeping the fragile thing safe as he gets ready to move on. Then he cradles a small glowing thing in his hands, and it lights up pink. Worry no more, he tells the nervous little creature. The creature bursts out laughing, thrilled about its new ride. With this hamster carrier, it cheers, delighted to finally have a way to tag along. A man in a dark coat suddenly drops down out of nowhere, and Shansu throws his guard up, bracing for an attack from the stranger clutching a red orb. But it's not an ambush. Faces he knows come into view, and his surprise melts into a smile. He grabs hold of the little dark orb creature, steadying it, then stands in the doorway with the white and brown fuzzball tucked safe in his arms. Meanwhile, Hamdul, one of his crew, is out poking around the plants, kneeling to check something in the dirt. But something's wrong. Inside the pod-like structures, creatures are moving, shuffling, scraping around where they shouldn't be. He goes looking for the little tan creature and can't find it. Where did it go? He mutters, scanning the pod. Then a dark shape lunges. Someone gasps the word nobody wants to hear. A territory devourer, the thing that eats a whole plot of land and swallows its ownership. The black creature snarls and slams into the tan one, clawing at it while it's cornered and can't get away. But then she clutches it to her chest, laughing with relief, because the terrifying calamity turns out to be a starving little thing that just wanted catnip. Back with Shansu, he clasps hands with the woman in a quiet reunion. The two reunited safely after the scare, and for a second everything's calm. Then someone drops straight through the forest canopy, a power symbol rubble flaring around them as they fall. A man in a white shirt shoves Chansu hard, knocking him flat, and Chansu ends up sprawled on the ground, catching his breath. When he gets up, it's not a stranger at all, it's someone he knows, and the two stand face to face mid-argument, one insisting on something the other flat out refuses to accept. The little creature sits under a green hexagon while the worry piles up, but what if the absorption deficiency? Nobody's sure this territory beast is safe to keep. Above them, a bigger creature keeps swelling and growing, a small figure with an umbrella watching from below, unsure what they've just adopted. Then the visitor lays it on Chansu from above, half teasing, half serious. It would be a problem if I came back one day and found you penniless. Chansu's face says he'd rather eat dirt than go broke on someone else's watch, taking the warning as a challenge, and with a burst of speed, he launches into action to prove he won't be left penniless. Chansu holds the little black territory beast close, still not sure whether adopting the thing was smart or suicidal. He sits down with the goddess of abundance in her tiny worm form and the other little creatures crowded around him. But word's gotten out, and people are furious. Somebody's claiming ownership all over the place, in the name of abundance, and the whole world's asking the same thing. Are they even a real apostle? Chansu goes quiet, eyes shut, because that ghost apostle claiming his goddess's name is him. He looks down at the goddess with dread creeping across his face, and then his mouth drops open. The reason lands hard. There's a wanted notice out on him. So Chansu scoops up the goddess and bolts through golden light, running for his life. A live capture bounty on his head, and the price is 100 emperor apples. He's still clutching one giant red apple while he runs, and the number finally hits him. 100 apples for his own capture. His face says every bounty hunter in the world just got a very good reason to find him. Chansu tears through the back alleys of injustice, dark and cramped, until he skids to a stop and stares out at the night city. Nowhere safe and everyone hunting. Meanwhile, in a dim back alley shop, a hooded customer walks in wrapped in purple power. The shopkeeper leans over the counter about the bill, and the customer just drops a hand on the payment slip. The customer refuses to hand over the glowing item he's paying for, and the two lock into a tense tug of war over it, the shopkeeper grabbing at the sleeve to keep it from leaving his shop. The shopkeeper starts to gripe, but the customer smooth talks him. For old time's sake, toss in something extra. He's caught between annoyed and flattered, waving him off. Then the customer drops the real bait, gesturing up as he says there's a separate reward for anyone who secures the artifact too, and the shopkeeper's whole face lights up like his rent just paid itself. Somewhere in blue light, a white-haired woman smiles with cold purpose, another player entering the hunt, while portraits of the rivals flash by one after another, everyone now circling the same prize. Back with the goddess, we see her flower-crowned form, blinking in confusion, a piece of her past surfacing. An entity speaks to her from a red-spiked frame. All sweet menace, convert to me, and I promise you power beyond your wildest dreams. The dark deity leans in on the goddess with its offer, purring that the god of injustice, the weakened god, only asks her to try his side for one measly month. Four figures freeze in horror as a skeleton claws up nearby, but Chansu barely glances over. He waves the whole thing off and just tells the goddess to forget it and eat lots of apples. That's when a skeletal hand shoots down and grabs him. It drags him straight into the dark, and his face flickers from annoyed to actually worried. Chansu comes up swinging at a masked figure closing in on him, snarling that this ordinary-looking guy is somehow tricking everyone. When the mask taunts him about being persuasive, he snaps back that the only real talent here is getting on his nerves. He braces and drives the masked figure's head back with raw pressure, an eye flaring with a spiral mark. Cornered, the figure caves and stammers out an offer, holding up a wreath of white flowers and green buds. A wrapped-up figure reaches for the goddess, and she snaps that the flowers are hers. She takes the crown, and for a second she just gazes up, wearing it like something she'd lost. Then the man they've got pinned starts spilling everything, shouting that yes, the apples in the temple were his target. He insists even the monster bounties were just his leftovers, and Chansu takes a fresh bruise but keeps listening. The confession cracks something open, and suddenly it isn't the captive talking anymore. Chansu remembers being dropped alone in a remote place, left there like he was nothing. A dark entity with glowing eyes rises out of the branches to confront Chansu over the memory, threatening to silence him. It sneers, "What do you even know to spout that nonsense?" Chansu's face goes cold and downturned, the old wound right there on the surface. But when it comes to the goddess, she sits composed under her flower crown, and power hums back into her arm. Back with the captive, the man is on his knees now, pouring out how he got pushed out to that same remote place. Voice breaking, Chansu raises his weapon over him and says it flat. He's heard the man's last words, so there's no mercy coming. This kneeling confession has just sealed his execution. Chansu brings the weapon down and ends it. The kneeling man's face twists with sweat one last time, then goes soft and relieved, like the fear finally left him. But it's not over. The man is back on his feet, flower crown and curved sickle, swinging wild at something Chansu can't see. "I don't know," he keeps shouting, like even he doesn't understand what's coming out of him. Then the fight turns physical. Rope wraps around Chansu, something slams into him. Bodies collide in the dirt. When the dust settles, he's on his feet in a sandy patch, sickle up, facing a huge shape at the edge of it all. His eyes snap wide as he looks up. A glowing cross hangs in the sky, and a red ornate sigil bleeds out of the dark clouds above him, a power announcing itself, homing in on him. The entity finally states its price plainly. "Kill this man, and go ahead, but only if you become my apostle." The man freezes at the offer. "How about it?" the voice presses. Then the man turns and smiles right at Chansu. "Mr. Chan," he says, sweet as anything, and Chansu realizes the offer was for him all along. The hooded deity spells it out. This is the god of injustice, and he's certain Shansu is talented enough to be his apostle. Convert, he purrs, and I'll give you power beyond your wildest dreams. Shansu's whole face goes tight. Don't, he says. The god only pushes harder, power surging, sweetening the deal down to a free trial. The god of injustice suggests you try it for just 1 month. Shansu cuts him off. I said no. So the god stops asking. Dark hands seize Shansu and drag him off, and a skull-masked figure grins at his mercenaries. Forget the bounty, boys. You don't even need to be paid. The masked figure leans in and tells Shansu they'll go over his employment terms later. Real casual, like he's already signed. Then to his guards, keep an eye on this traitor. Shansu just stands there defiant and presses his hand against the barrier caging him in. And from that cage, the scene shifts to Shansu lying eyes closed in a glowing field of flowers. A jarring calm after the standoff. A quiet okay slips out of him. His eyes open, surprised, because this is the real deal. The goddess of abundance, a farming deity, and the genius wretched apostle who drew her against impossible odds. A shadowed woman's blue eye watches from the dark. Shansu smiles, holding a fistful of golden roses and all that sparkle. Then he looks down at the tiny worm-shaped goddess in his palm and asks, flat as ever, a goddess, right? He grins with his eyes shut, cradling the little thing, and she perches on his hand, absolutely thrilled to finally be used. The title flares to life above them. The goddess of abundance. Farming empire, here we come. Shansu stares at the divine display and mutters, wait, this kind of function actually exists? Because the system spells it out. Park Hyunmo, the last guy who held this, got excommunicated and stripped of his apostle of abundance title. Down in his palm, the little worm goddess is basically in tears, begging him. She reaches up and pleads, help me reach the top again. Shansu's face lights up with a glowing aura, hands clasped like a man who smells profit, because helping her means payoff for him. The goddess of abundance seals the deal by granting him a brand new ability, a golden artifact blazing in his grip. He goes wide-eyed, then presses her for the fine print. How long do these blessings even last? The system explains it depends on his choice, and the payout is called abundant blessing. Shansu turns the glowing tablet over and grumbles that there was supposed to be an explanation somewhere. He reaches down for the tiny goddess in the dark, but as her power surges, she yelps that it's spreading up her leg, and the whole thing collapses into a heap. Shamsu, the goddess, and a little blonde apostle all piled up as he sputters. Goddess? Out of the glow, a plant spirit forms, proof his abundant blessing is now taking root as a living helper, and Shansu chats it up while a woman watches from the side. His hand flares yellow, the blessing locking into whatever he grows next. Cut to a doorstep where a delivery guy calls out that the package is here and drops it at the door. Shansu takes what he ordered, finally arrive. Inside, a woman cooks while a kid watches, thrilled, until the kid blurts something and she rounds on him. Where did you even learn to talk like that? She grips the food, wrestling with something, then swears she has to deal with this herself. So she attacks her laptop, hands still glowing, hammering out a product listing to sell the fruit online. She's grinning as she types out a name for it. Masas Imperador, the Emperor Apples. Back with Shansu, he's cackling in his own lab, holding up test tubes like a mad scientist, because rumors going around that his apples are good for stamina. A guy in black shows up clutching the red apples and nervously asks, they won't just vanish into thin air, right? To dodge the market backlash, the plan shifts to cultivating fruits that are actually good for resistance, then selling those instead. Shansu drifts to a bookshelf, reaching for reference books. Someone hurries in, telling the seated Shansu he wasn't expected till tomorrow. But that's not the real issue. A dangerous new rumor is spreading about the Emperor apples that could wreck their value. He warns, bracing Shansu before he steps outside to face it. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. A doctor in a white coat lays out how bad things have gotten. People are so desperate for stamina, they're eating raw snake bile, he says. And some of them have died from it. So the real question hangs there, do Shansu's apples actually do anything for the masses? Or not? Shansu has a fix. To dodge the market backlash, he pitches growing fruits that are genuinely good for resistance and selling those instead. The goddess lights up, all sparkles, loving it. Then he admits the small problem. He doesn't actually have much of a plant, so he just starts rattling off crops. Nuts, carrots, asparagus, tomatoes, and goji berries. The goddess squints like, this way? Really? Shansu throws up a confident thumbs up and everyone's suddenly on board. Excellent idea, they agree, but they need to test whether it really works. So 3 apostles gather outside to run the trial. The trial summons a new apostle so overwhelming that one man drops to his knees begging, please, I beg you, as another's eye goes wide and golden with fear. Shansu just stands there going, huh? Not yet grasping the threat this power poses. Then this new apostle flexes and raw power blasts off him. So powerful, someone gasps. Word is that back on Earth, this guy went past being just a researcher into something else entirely. A woman holds up a red bottle and pitches the taste, salty with a sweet finish. Good to drink, she offers it over and gets a flat no. Then the bottle proves her wrong itself, releasing a powerful surge of energy that shows this is no ordinary drink. That same woman walks into an ornate temple and gets welcomed to the Temple of Chastity. She freezes. Wait, you said chastity? Shansu clutches his chest like he's been shot. He scrambles to explain, insisting the meaning of the word just changed by chance. He swears he told the truth. Then someone waves a tablet and says it's all fine, pick any of the options, while another voice asks the only thing that matters here. What's the chance of improvement? The title card flashes, the goddess of abundance beside her scythe and divine light, before the lore lands. This is a block-based world built entirely on conquering territory, one big land war. To protect purity, the Chastity Temple needed real power, an apostle explains. But then comes the twist that breaks him a little. Chastity, it turns out, was never actually purity at all. Quick catch-up, Chansu drew the impossible goddess of abundance, and he spent every day since squeezing farming powers into cash and land. Right now, he's out in the green, holding the goddess in her tiny worm form, telling her flat, don't listen to things like that. For a second, she remembers what she used to be, surrounded by sunflowers and light, actually smiling. Then reality snaps back, and she's slapping her little hands forward in pure shock, sitting in the dirt, clutching her chest. She's rummaging through her stuff, muttering, when the Lord drops on what he even is now. He's an apostle of abundance, and the deal is simple. He only has to say the word, and she's counting on him to carry it. The two of them stand there, hands joined, the pact locked in. But the goddess keeps nagging that he should express his part more explicitly, like she wants it spelled out in writing. Cut to a grand hall where a very loud new player is having a meltdown. He announces it's his 30th day on the job, then loses it, screaming that chastity should not be this vulgar and what is happening to the sacred temple. This is the 17th apostle of chastity, and he is offended by absolutely everything. Around him, robed apostles settle in for a formal council. A light-haired apostle sits with his eyes shut, jaw set, while a man with glasses raises a hand and insists they pool what each of them knows before deciding anything, since acting blind now could doom the council. Another agrees it wouldn't be absurd to move soon. One apostle rubs his face, thinking, and then a woman cuts through it with the actual plan. They need to go offer him a position, meaning Shansu. A worried apostle warns that it's hopeless. That pervert demon will expel us the moment he sees us. So they cook up something dirtier, first ally with alchemy, and use that to pull the apostle of abundance out into the open. As the men seal their scheme with a burst of magic, one of them recoils in pain, the spell costing him something as it takes hold. Halfway across the world, Chansu is strolling through a park alone, skeleton in tow, and he feels it in his gut. Someone is talking about me. Right on cue, a figure steps up and announces to him, "Excuse me, Mr. Kim Yoon-hik, I have something to say." And there on the ground lies Hercules, sprawled out in his armored, headless skeletal form. A woman rushes in and throws her arms around the little figure, crying, "Hercules!" The small one asks Chansu softly if he kept Hercules safe for her all this time. Chansu weighs it coldly in his head. If he wrecked Hercules, he'd earn this guy's grudge for sure. So he keeps it useful and just asks whether the missing head is a problem, since the jobs he's got planned won't need one anyway. The woman grips Hercules' arm and pours power into it, reanimating the headless body back to life under her control, proof she can raise the dead as soldiers. Chansu notes that Ollie's got skeleton soldiers too, filing it away like inventory. From a distance, someone's been watching Chansu the whole time and finally admits it out loud, making even guys like these easy to boss around. He's felt that just from observing him. The man's turning severed heads and headless corpses into a workforce, and people are starting to notice. Over at the faction council, one apostle tells another they hope to work well together, all polite and formal. Then a scream cuts through it. Turns out it's the 17th apostle of chastity chasing down a guy who's trying to bolt. The bespectacled apostle keeps yelling that he'll just repeat the same mistake as before. The chastity apostle grabs a muscular man and swears he's perfect for chastity, that he's finally found real talent. The muscular guy shoves back, insisting he's going to marry and live a happy, love-filled life. Chansu, watching this whole circus, dryly tells the man to stop pressuring the poor guy so hard. So the chastity apostle spins around and asks about Chansu instead. Chansu fires back an instant, flat absolutely not. Chansu's cradling the little worm-form goddess of abundance, answering something with a happy grin, while the bespectacled man just stares from behind. Then the chastity apostle gets an idea and suggests casting the blessing on Chansu right there. Chansu's face crumples in horror. Chansu thinks, this guy's gone completely crazy, and I was even starting to like him. Meanwhile, the blessing lands, and the little goddess flares bright, proving the chastity apostle really can bless her even in this worm form, as he pushes Chansu to try it himself later. Right then, someone calls out for Hamdul, and Haesujin walks in, cradling a tiny white creature. She's another apostle in this world, and she's here holding what looks like a spirit. She looks at the thing in her hands, baffled, asking what this even is. Chansu perks up nearby and says he's got big news. Haesujin bursts into a joyful grin at the news, thrilled by whatever it means for her, while Chansu freezes and blinks out a confused huh? Clearly her delight isn't the reaction he expected. She keeps laughing while he stands there stunned. Out in a forest clearing, a man's laughing and cheerfully asking what the big news is. Haesujin's still beaming, holding a little brown creature. Chansu holds up a big red apple, dead confused, a question mark practically over his head. Haesujin, calm now, tells him it's really not a good idea to refuse this. A glowing blue hexagonal barrier seals over them, blue letters locking the agreement into place so no one can back out now. Someone says they'll be back soon, so everything should be fine, right? Indoors now, Haesujin's talking fast, a red-haired man beside her sorting out 2 apples by name. She asks Chan to hold them for her. Haesujin pushes her glasses up, all confident, and holds up a glowing blue sphere. A voice lays down the fine print. The byproducts will belong to alchemy. A little green water spirit pipes up that no matter how you slice it, the compatibility here is just bad. Then a male apostle reacts as the rest of the water spirits show up. And that's the episode, The Goddess of Abundance and the Apostle Genius Renegade, with Chansu now roped into an alchemy deal and a whole squad of water spirits on the board. The rest of the water spirits come pouring in, and a nearby apostle panics, yelling the whole swarm's arrived. Haesujin's first instinct, she grabs her notebook and blurts, I need to register this. Somebody shoots her down flat with a hard no. The little green water spirit loses it, screaming this is no time for taking notes. Then the spirits crash right into them. Someone points and orders an attack on the swarm, and Heisujin snaps back. Then think of a countermeasure. Shansu, caught in the chaos, immediately washes his hands of the disaster, insisting he isn't the one who provoked the spirits. I didn't do it, he says, as the swarm slams together around him. He drops down, holding a glowing red thing, then perches on a rooftop with the water spirits below. Fortunately, this appears to be the last of the normal ones, he figures. Except it's not normal at all. One of them lurches, and Shansu's face goes white as it rears up and lunges. The spirit swells with sudden power, and both of them freeze. What is all Shansu manages before it blows up into something way bigger. Energy tears out of the thing and floods the whole space, and the two of them freeze in the open with nowhere to hide from a spirit that just outgrew whatever they came prepared to fight. Inside its own body, the spirit groans in pain, and Shansu asks the only sane question in the room. Why on earth did anyone send a farmer to clear a dungeon? So he stops complaining and goes to work. He steps up to the giant slime, braces himself, and shoves. The thing squeaks and squirms, and Shansu grunts that it's heavy. A voice coaches him, let it all out, it'll feel better after. He pours green energy through his whole body and presses in, forcing the slime to give way, and it starts glowing white hot as his power breaks it down. Its insides open up into these stacked little chambers, and the tiny spirit deep inside hiccups. The spirit peeks out and reacts to him. All of that raging power squeezing down until Chansu's holding a single glowing blue orb, and the voice signs off with the good news. Congratulations, he's tamed the water spirit. With the spirit tamed, the goddess's voice tells Chansu he's done it, and suddenly he's standing right on top of the water, the surface glowing under his feet. But he's not alone down here. Someone lurking in the shadows drops a red energy strike straight down on him, and Shansu snaps into a fighting stance. He trades blows with the ambusher, and honestly he's just tired of this. All he can grumble is that this whole thing is unpleasant. Cut away from the dungeon. A woman leans in, dead serious, asking someone point blank if he's actually an alchemist. A real great one. A red-haired child and a cloaked figure walk in, and the woman's surprised reaction shows this arrival wasn't expected, while the man greets the child warmly. The woman's eyes flare blue as she presses her play. She warns him she trusts he isn't dumb enough to try what she thinks he's trying. He fires back, denying it and telling her to just leave, so she switches tactics, begging him to drop the promotion and pull it from the stores too. They lay out the real situation. The incursion failed, but this one mattered because it was special, and to prove the threat is still live, someone raises a hand and cracks open a portal overhead. From across the room, another asks what kind of gate this even is. The caster drips liquid from his palm into the portal, and the whole crowd recoils in shock. One of them scoffs, asking if they're all underestimating alchemy just a little. A guy with glasses adjusts them and smiles, clearly enjoying this. Then someone calls out to Chan, and the shorter one bristles, asking what exactly that's supposed to mean. A red-haired man waves it off with a lazy that, takes a slow drink from his black cup, and casually drops that the boy is a good cook. Meanwhile, a man sits in a car talking up at two guys stuck on a rooftop, telling them to surrender because there's no easy way down, and resisting will only cost them. He calls up the name that matters. Are you Chan? I'm here to accompany you. Inside, 3 apostles gather, one of them planted with a wicked scythe. This is the crew that failed Apostle Park Hang-yeol, and they're plotting their next move. The car guy keeps grinding, half threat, half nagging, telling Shansu to give up and, weirdly, to keep a balanced diet. He repeats his pitch one more time, that he's here to accompany Chan. Then he just slides on his sunglasses, revs the engine, and orders Chansu into the car with a flat "come with me," a stranger trying to haul him off, and Chansu has to decide whether to obey. Inside the car, the apostle glances back, still chewing on the whole mess. He figures people are dying to know what happened to Park Hang-yeol, so the questions don't surprise him. He backs it up with Heisujin's read on the situation, muttering that it's playing out exactly like she called it. Out in the night streets, someone else grabs his neck in alarm, realizing something has gone dangerously wrong, and all he can get out is, "This is bad." The car rolls up to a big columned government building, and inside an official setting, the talk gets going. One of them is flagged straight off as the first apostle of chastity, and the pitch starts, "How about you join us?" Someone pours a glowing red liquid into an ornate bowl, then asks the real question, "What about Park Hang-yeol now?" The answer lands flat. Only hope's left, unfortunately. But the man holding that red vial isn't giving up. He swears he'll do his part whatever it takes, while others just stare down at the table or slump like they're already done. Elsewhere, the argument boils over. The guy with glasses gets animated, a hooded woman keeps her eyes down calm, and a man in a light shirt clutches his own throat like something's wrong inside him. An older gray-haired man raises a hand, calm but firm, reminding them what was promised. The glasses guy loses it and crouches, snapping. "Did you not notice on the way here?" He shoves his palm out and demands to know if they really think it's all okay to be like this. His outburst turns on the group so violently that a boy cowers beneath him, and the others shout at him to calm himself before it goes too far. Back in a facility corridor, 2 men walk it out, one in blue leading, one in brown trailing behind. Half joking, "Oh, serious?" One of them reads the whole crew and figures this person is putting up a front. The older man and the hooded woman lock eyes, and he clocks it from their faces alone. There are other intentions here. She reaches out and closes the gap between them. Her hand catches his arm, and she asks it soft, "Shall we simply leave like this?" When the answer looks like yes, the threat drops, "You will regret leaving." Then everything Everything blurs into speed as two figures square off up on a rooftop, the confrontation now out in the open, and the panic hits at once. Did he notice? The plan maker scratches his head and admits it. This wasn't the best play they picked, since going for direct damage backfires. Surrounded by his people, he keeps walking it back, and his serious face says the recruitment drive just fell apart. Quick catch-up. Chansu drew the impossible goddess of abundance, the divine chosen, and has been turning her farming blessings into land and money, one absurd harvest at a time. Now a rival faction wants him on their side. Their leader points and lays out the plan flat. From now on, they'll transform Chansu into a hero. To pull it off, they need him hooked on a new power. A glowing lemon creature pops up in front of two of their men, and one of them lights up the second it drops a golden lemon into his hands. He clutches it like it's the whole plan riding on it. The order is simple. Hurry up and grab the communication ability. Meanwhile, back on Chansu's side, one of his people rolls in from a trip and gets greeted warmly. But he's got news and he says it low. Someone's trying to stall the vitality potion they've been developing. He explains the enemy faction is quietly dragging their feet on it. Chansu's man waves it off. Sure, they wouldn't try anything actually dangerous. Everyone stands there in the forest chewing on that and nobody looks fully convinced. And here's the thing that changes everything. The goddess of abundance, stuck in her tiny worm form, suddenly manages one word out loud. Voice. She actually spoke. That first cracked syllable of a real voice hits her like coming back to life. She floats down toward Chansu, and someone tries to snatch her mid-air. She fights it off, refusing to be grabbed, and lands safe in his hands as a small white spirit. Which is when the title crashes in, sickle on his shoulder, spirits swirling around him. The goddess of abundance and her apostle, the genius renegade. Then a new creature turns up in the forest that nobody can place. His people tell him it's supposed to be a water spirit, but Chansu squints at it. He's never heard of one like this. And then he clocks the detail. It has hands and it is very soft. Our foul-mouthed genius drops to his knees and just starts petting the thing. Another apostle congratulates him, since spirits are apparently a nightmare to tame. A woman from the farm wanders up and asks if this soft little water spirit is the newcomer. Chansu keeps playing with it on the ground, while the goddess thinks up a name. She lands on Aguadinho for the little guy and beams as the spirits crowd around her. But Chansu goes with the roster name and welcomes it properly. Primavera, the water spirit, who he decides looks like a solid worker. He clenches his hand and Primavera answers by pulling water together into a glowing blue sphere in his palms. His newest hire just proves she pays for herself. The farm folks won't let Chansu leave hungry. A woman points out it's already dinner time and asks him to stay and eat with them first. But instead of sitting down, Chansu starts kneading dough. She watches, confused, and asks what he's even trying to do. Somewhere else, a hooded figure runs a device over a huge red glowing orb, grabbing at it. His eye flashes gold, and whatever he reads there alarms him so much he jolts back. He's found something in that orb he didn't expect. Back at the farm, Chansu works the cooking gear with a divine glow, then sets down a plate of noodles. Sorry for the wait, he says. The table fills up fast. Potato pasta, potato pancakes, sweet potato, tofu stir-fry, and apple cake, all floating and glowing. One apostle nearly loses it at the spread. Two apostles compare notes as everyone digs in, and one of them points out how hard the whole table is going at the food. Then Chansu sits down and channels green energy toward the little white worm across from him, the goddess of abundance herself. He asks straight out if she wants food instead of blessings, and she nods. So he offers her an apple to try first. The starved little farming goddess lights up with pure joy, glowing as he cradles her, happy for once to just be fed. An apostle nearby wonders where all this even came from. Chansu, glowing gold and pleased with himself, says he built the comfort so the work efficiency would climb. He laughs and thanks them as he walks off with the little creature. A big figure looms over Chansu and the water spirit, asking about the water. Chansu kneels and scoops the little blue blob into his hands, then tells her, Primavera, show your power. Primavera answers hard. A massive green surge of water and growth erupts across the land, trees flaring gold as it climbs. Good work, this is our Primavera. The group cheers and claps. The vines keep roaring up the tree trunk, and someone nervously asks if it's a bit big. No, it's way too big. As the surge swells and flat out flings everyone off their feet, Primavera braces against the surge she's been building, and it rips loose. Green and gold energy blasts skyward off the little spirit, way more than anyone bargained for. Then a black cat wanders up, eyeing the blue blob like it might be a snack. It pounces, Primavera panics, and Chansu yelps in surprise at this new arrival. He drops onto the ground, scoops Primavera safe into his hands, and keeps the cat close by. Calm again, he asks. Primavera, can you make some drinking water? And she does it, easy. But his system window flickers wrong. The numbers glitching purple as block ownership percentages cascade down the screen. Chansu stares at it, uneasy. The window, he mutters something about the night sky, holding the cat up when the alert hits him. He's just lost his rights to block 35N. And access is shut. Someone or something has stripped his claim to this place. He looks up at the golden trees, throne, and the cat, it turns out, can talk. It pitches him a deal. Protect this block and Chansu gets all the catnip he could ever want. That's the offer. The story cuts to a woman in a lush garden with a bench and a cat bed beside her, reminding the man she raised him well and warning that if she comes back and he has nothing to give her, he'll be in trouble. It's a debt being called in. Then her face twists in shock and fury. How can you do this? She snaps. Having taken care of this thing so well, only to be betrayed. Same garden, same wound, labeled the world of cat-eared ones, and she's still fuming. How can you do such a thing? The dark cat just tilts its head, clueless. The cat stretches toward the man playfully, paw hooked on on his arm while he tries to command it. Let us go. We must stay calm. Back to Chansu, and another man walks in on him. Oh, you were here, someone says. And Chansu is greeted with, ah, you have arrived. Chansu asks after Bo-chan, then presses whether something's happened, his voice trailing off uncertain in the golden-lit forest. Nearby, his skeletons are cheerfully harvesting red berries, one clutching a stew pot, when something bursts in on their gathering and scatters the calm, someone crying out, what? As the peaceful chore turns to sudden alarm. A man in glasses reels at what he's just learned. Possession? A parasite? He blurts. He explains it plain to Chansu. This thing is one of the 7 great disasters, and Block A is infected. Buy that block, and the buyer gets infected too. The poison spreading right across the grid. The man in glasses keeps laying it out for Chansu. Infect one block, and the next block over goes down too. Do that enough times, he says, and the whole grid ends in complete ruin. And the worst part, he warns, is that this parasite never shows its form, so you can't even tell a block is infected until it's too late. Standing in the autumn woods, Chansu listens while the little creature pads between them. Right on cue, a system window flashes green in Chansu's face. He's just lost 10 passes of one of his blocks, so the infection isn't theory, it's already eating his property. Chansu crouches in the golden light and scoops up the small creature, that black cat-like thing drawn to the glowing green magic near him. He thinks back on it. When he bought the properties near the city, other factions had clearly grabbed some too, so an infected block sitting next door isn't strange at all. One frets there must be more infected out there. The other waves it off, sure it's just the one. Then a hand goes to a chin. It seems there's a way to deal with this infection, a fix for the property loss. Someone reacts in distress, tearing at his own clothes, worried sick, and muttering that he'd just like to know if the apostle is even okay. His eyes land on a temple perched up on high ground. And speaking of that apostle, Chansu cries out as green energy detonates around him and he loses his grip entirely, wailing the least dignified last words possible. I lost to a cat. That wasn't what I meant to say, so I lost to a cat. When the dust clears, 2 small creatures just sit together on a log, calm as anything, like nothing happened. That peace lasts about a second. Rapid strikes crack out and an energy blast bursts as a fresh attacker comes crashing through the trees, dragging the 2 creatures back into the fight they thought was over. A voice rolls in over red clouds, sniffing. It has a delicious smell. 2 little creatures perk up, one whimpering, where is it? A monstrous beast is following its nose straight toward them. An apostle plants himself between them and the beast, magic flaring, and warns it off, withdraw now, creature, or else. The beast doesn't withdraw. It comes anyway, and the apostle screams for the small ones. Children, no. Flaming tendrils lash out, and it roars in, hammering the apostles with bursting energy. It's over, the beast growls. The hit lands hard, and they reel from the blow. One of them drags himself up and calls out to the group, everyone, are you okay? Then something answers the beast. A blade comes down, then up, a clean sword strike that kills the plant entity, and whatever swung it holds still in profile, as the smell that started all this finally goes quiet. The blast from above catches the pink apostle, and Chansu pushes up out of the explosion, ears ringing but alive. He looks down at the goddess of abundance, still stuck in her little pink worm form, and she's thanking him. Chansu just stares. Why is she thanking me? Then power bursts out of him like an egg cracking open, one of the fruit apostles glowing yellow right beside him. Chansu snaps back to the wounded around him and shouts to check them. Nothing happened, right? You all okay? 2 apostles lie flat on the ground, faces twisted in pain. And the thing that killed the beast? A man in a dark coat, standing there calmly, holding a giant shiny red fruit. He turns it over and says flatly, I cut it. The little apostles crowd the red fruit on the ground, sniffing. The blue creature backs off. Food? No, chi. Chansu rounds on the coated man, confused, so you didn't defeat it? His face drops as the leftover purple energy still churns below them. The beast isn't dead, and the danger is far from over. The man just smirks, satisfied, cradling his red fruit. Purple tentacles of energy fan out from him, revealing he's no ordinary man, but a supernatural entity flaunting real power in this deal. Then the talk shifts to business. Chansu rubs his chin, thinking it over, and the other man waits. Now then he starts. A glowing green contract floats up in his hand, marked with property rights, and there's an anomaly tied to it. The reddish-haired man asks the obvious thing. How many? And the little creatures, exhausted, pile up asleep on the ground. Somebody reacts, startled. Then comes the cold water. Sorry to ruin it, but how exactly do you plan to do that? He asks it twice, skeptical, while Chansu looks up. Chansu just grins, fist clenched. He's got a plan. Out on the sand, the group gathers as the older man lays it out. Growing them won't be easy either, they'll need other plants, and Hei Sujin, the reference speaker, wants her cut. Some days later, the 2 set out to claim a stretch of forest, walking out under a massive ancient tree deep in the canopy. Chansu carries a small white creature tucked in a pouch, set on something. It should be here, no doubt. Then a voice calls out, scolding, Hamdal, the loyal ally. I told you to stay inside. The little bear creature Hamdal has tagged along anyway. A green window pops up in front of Chansu. Do you wish to buy the property rights of this block? His eyes go wide. He glances back over his shoulder, then the system fires off the numbers. Block 35 N8E possession rate ticking up, some of it already lost. Hamdal beams, hugging his little bear, blissfully unaware that a white-robed figure has just appeared right above the pair, someone now looming over them as they sit exposed. Hamdal plops down, still hugging his little bear creature and his backpack, watching Chansu get to work above him. Chansu turns over a curved glowing blade he crafted and mutters, this is what he got out of alchemy. He tests the edge and shrugs off the weak durability. Low durability, sure, but it pairs great with decapitation decapitation, he figures, since he's chopping heads anyway. The curved shape, he decides, is perfect for slicing enemies that rush him. He charges the blade up and calls out, "Now come," he wants the fight to start on his terms. A dark spiky mass answers, glowing as it uncoils. Chansu stares at the tiny things crawling out of it, and blinks. What is this, he thinks? Were they supposed to look like this? He talks it out half to himself that for a so-called calamity, it looks completely harmless. And honestly, it's his first time seeing one. Then the little swarm proves him wrong and swarms him. Caught off guard, Chansu pours divine power out and slams a shield around himself just as the mess of tiny creatures suddenly balloons into one big monster. So much for harmless. Now he's standing alone against the evolved thing and its little spawn, batting them back with everything he's got. He grips the blade and admits the one thing he didn't plan for. But I didn't imagine that. The monster tilts its head with a confused HM. Meanwhile, in the forest, a smiling apostle in glasses walks up on Park Hanger, the first apostle of chastity, and greets him warmly. "Oh, you're here too." He flinches back as her hand reaches for him. She keeps coming, all cheer and bright light, sizing him up. Reading her tablet, she announces this person's faction alignment. 5 candles and beams, I trust you. Hangul just looks distressed by all of it. They face off, energy crackling between them as she gestures like she's only explaining herself, but neither backs down, and the standoff threatens to turn into a fight. When a taller figure looms over her, she frets about the risk and discomfort of it all. Then she softens, praising him for how brave he was to even get in here, and admits that if not for the administrator, she never could have. Turning to Chansu, she lights up, saying there's something he really needs to research. So here's where we're at. Chansu drew the 1 in a billion farming goddess, turned her decapitation blessings into cash and land, and now every faction wants a piece of him. Right now, a new player is muscling in, a glasses-wearing analyst apostle who wants to study his captured calamity. Chansu squints at the whole idea and asks it flat out, can a calamity even become human? Little bears crowd around him while he chews on that. The analyst wants his entity for research, fussing about the horn and asking what he plans to do with it. Chansu starts to protest, but the goddess cuts him off. No, she can handle this. She puffs up and insists analysis and research are her whole specialty. Chansu just stands there, arms crossed, not sold on any of it. Holding one of the little creatures, he thinks the worst part is how reasonable it all sounds on the surface. The analyst grins wide, those spiral glasses gleaming. Out in the forest, word is already moving. The rumor spreads that someone is monopolizing the imperial maces, and people want to know what's going on. The analyst walks it back for the group. For now it's small, but she's afraid the revolt only grows from here. Meanwhile, Chansu hangs back with a little white creature, smiling to himself like he knows something. Then the ground splits open and a giant skull rips up screaming into the sky. The analyst's whole plan dies in her throat. He became that? Chansu lifts a small glowing blue sphere, calm in the middle of the chaos. As the skeleton erupts, the goddess snaps at him. It should have human form. His name is Primavera, the water spirit. Do your job right. So Chansu calls the water spirit by name, Primavera, and raises the orb, promising he'll pay up if it delivers. The analyst backpedals fast, begging for a moment while skeletons scatter across the ground. 2 bystanders just cling to each other in pure panic. And the skeleton actually talks. Being praised? How shameful, it grumbles, muttering that the real harvest still catches everyone off guard. One man cracks under it all, wailing that now he'll have to live with the negation. He drops to his knees, begging them to reconsider, swearing he'll have nightmares every single night. The analyst crouches down near a hatted man in the glowing brush, examining the aftermath to figure out what the harvest actually left behind. Then she spots a black cat and lights right up. Oh, at least there's a cute little animal. Chansu scoops up the kitten, way too excited, while she reaches for him, and he keeps yelping, wait a moment, wait a moment. He asks her what the problem is, and she answers with something cryptic about the night sky, trailing off before she finishes. Then a second monster smashes through and hurls a kid aside. Calamities, someone screams, why is this here? Chansu tries to process it, muttering that the goddess already messed with the first one. But now there are 2 of the 7 great calamities in one spot. What kind of place even is this? And the little creature caught in the middle of it just squeaks for help. With 2 calamities loose at once, Hamdall grabs the tossed kid and throws him clear, then plants himself between the beast and everyone else. He barks at himself to hold firm and squares up. He tears into the predator with everything he's got, claws lighting up. The beast answers with a shield the size of a wall, then snaps at him with its jaws. Hamdall lunges to cut off the strike and eats it on his armor instead of letting it land on anyone. Somebody nearby raises a vial, saying it can cure the infected, so this whole mess isn't hopeless. Hamdall's powered counterattack drives the predator back, buying the survivors a breather. But higher up, a whole different fight erupts as another combatant unleashes crackling magenta energy, opening a second front before this one has even won. The figure says it flat, almost happy, that at last the 2 of them get to meet. Then it drops the smile and lets its face show, glowing red eyes in a shadow, and Chansu plants himself facing it. Chansu braces, but this thing is on a different level. It slams him with a straight down blast and cracks the ground under him. He's left gasping, and the entity peels open into a maw full of teeth and organs. Chansu screams as it starts dragging him toward its mouth. Mid-crisis, Chansu takes it all back. Whatever cocky thing he said before, the claws come down and he blocks, barely holding. Then, because of course he does, he grins through it and asks the monster if it wants another round. The thing roars and charges, mocking him, asking if he's going to run now. So he runs, tail between his legs, no shame, just gone. Somewhere she's flatly refusing whatever just happened, saying no. Chansu scoops up the little beast that helped him and praises it. Well done, 9. shine. Then he catches something off, unidentified points on his sight, and stops cold. Back at the fight, the little creature's been hurt, and she cradles it, begging Hamdol to tell her this isn't a dream. Shansu takes a hit and hisses through it, muttering that yeah, this pain is way too real to be a dream. On the ground near him lies a book, its cover reading Surviving the Parasite Apocalypse. Somewhere in the open, two fighters trade quick words mid-scramble, one asking how many people it'll take to hold the blocks. Shansu scans the field and mutters that there's far more blood out here than he expected, the fighting worse than he'd braced for. Still holding the little creature that fought beside him, Shansu waits on something, then jerks in shock as a warning breaks. Someone says the ones who dug into this conspiracy are talking. A system window snaps open and names the threat flat out, an apostle of Phase 3 violence. A voice cries out that it's not just powerful, it's here in insane numbers. Fighters throw themselves into the swarm, one landing a kick and shouting that if they hadn't cut these things off partway, the whole thing would have gone bad. Shansu blinks, honestly surprised there's even a service for this. He crouches down, poking at something on the ground, and a window flips up listing the job with a 5-star rating and a review calling it a cheap trick to wipe out the competition. With the little creature riding on his head, Shansu lights up and cheerfully signs on to go clear out the enemy, then does a double take at the screen. Wait, this thing has a 5-star rating too? On a stretch of beach, a huge winged beast dives down to join the enemy assault, and the smaller creatures scatter and swarm across the sand as a full-scale battle erupts against the fighters. Shansu drives his weapon down into the flying enemies, then crouches hard on the sand as something crashes down from the sky and overwhelms him, leaving him screaming in raw pain as the fight turns against him. And from all that blood and screaming, we cut straight to a guy who cannot focus, groaning that this abstinence is killing him, and asking what kind of suffering this even is. He whines that getting old is hard enough without side effects dragging him down too, throws a furious punch at nothing, then holds up a glowing little item that comes to life with light. Turns out it's Chansu's divine crop rebranded as a stop-smoking product, and the 5-star reviews pour in, one saying it's surprisingly good, another swearing a friend's recommendation finally helped him quit. The glowing item changes hands, and Handel comes running, calling out for Chansu. Chansu just eyes the thing and mutters the sales pitch back at himself. Dewormer, quit smoking, and this is only temporary? Waving it off, Chansu figures people are already eating it anyway, and holds up the green glowing stick, saying it won't kill you, so sure, eat it and ask nicely. The little goddess worm calls him out for it, wondering why his real effort keeps ending up as some trendy seasoning fad. So Chansu gets a crash course. The whole world is split into Fias, apostles, and common citizens. Among the world's original people, the ones who serve the gods are the Fias, and the product was built to bait exactly those parasites. So Chansu finally gets it. Hamdol explains the whole product was bait, built to lure in the parasites who serve the gods. Chansu cracks open the case of little brown dewormer sticks, but Hamdol frets that pushing them might just build resistance in the parasites over time. Chansu grumbles that if it were up to him, he'd ban the whole thing, but he can't. He pours out a sample and shrugs. How people use it is their choice. Still, he decides to shrink the burnable dewormer plant down, and to have his people push the warnings hard, firmly. That size fixation is exactly where it goes sideways. Out in his glowing farm plots, Chansu had grown these plants only chasing bulk, and it shows. He points at a head of garlic the size of an actual head, and an Artemisia plant as big as a parasol. Chansu groans that he only cared about size and effect, so the crops came out horribly deformed. He grips his chest and swears he must never ever take the communication skill. A few days on, the little creatures gather in the forest, and one asks Chansu how much the whole haul sold for, and his satisfied laugh signals the deformed crops still turned a profit. The goddess of abundance, the divine chosen, watches him rake it in and reminds herself that big gains mean big risks. One of her creatures still doubts he can pull it off, but the goddess defends him. He's not neglecting the farming. Fighting bugs is just pest control. Then she catches herself smiling. My apostle is too good. I need to hand him a new skill soon. So she decides to give the wheel a spin and calls her little chirping children to go greet the arriving apostle. Shansu walks into the clearing and every slime swarms out to meet him, slimes and all. He blinks at the welcome party, genuinely baffled. Why is everyone here for me? A big plant slime rises up beside him as the goddess pops open her glowing green window with two skill choices, land abundance or communication. She pitches land abundance as perfect for huge rice paddies and wheat fields. Then Doji, the pig vassal, chimes in that honestly it's not a skill an apostle really needs. Shansu just stares at the window torn. This is the perfect chance to finally take communication, the one thing he swore he'd never touch. Shansu stares at the two choices, jaw set, and commits to picking communication, the ability he'd sworn off, betting it matters more to him than the farming-focused land abundance. He weighs all the karma he stacked up, then pictures the dream setup, an elf, a nature guardian, minding his crops for him. Then it clicks, Doji only ever wants food, so there's zero reason to skip communication. He grins and slams the pick. Yes, the window chimes back. Instead of communication, he's been handed land abundance, the wrong skill entirely, and Shansu freezes with the whole crew. Huh? Shansu cries out for the goddess as vines whip out and grab the little yellow creature who just laughs through the whole assault. Wrong skill or not, the system hands him the goods anyway. He can now cast Abundance Blessing. Fine, he says, let's test this thing. He focuses, the goddess watching wide-eyed, and plants shoot straight up out of the dirt in seconds. Shansu blinks at the sudden crop. It worked. But the goddess isn't impressed. She walks off grumbling it's too slow and moans that increased germination rate would have been way better. She jabs at him him again? I told you to pick communication, not these weird ones. Shansu takes it right in the chest. Out at West Block, grid 35 and 9E, the two hash it out and the score still creeps up. She notes it's back to 79 points. He mutters a pun so bad she snaps that he doesn't even know what he's saying. She's not wrong about that one. Someone begs for clean water, a kid's right here, and Shansu reminds them they clawed up from literal zero. Every point counts. A taller man brings up the other apostles, and the system flashes a warning. Lee Min-soo, the apostle of Era, wants him to block 35 and 9E. Ira's coming for him. A visitor confirms it, you're the apostle of abundance, then asks after the Master Chan. The real reason lands last. They heard he can make hair grow abundantly. A visitor asks straight out if the hair growth rumor is real, and Shansu just sweats, saying nothing. Outside a snowy cabin, two guests confirm the obvious. With Chansu's harvests, nothing here is ever lacking. One laughs and thanks him, then adds thanks to those self-deprecating jokes too. The goddess of abundance is well-fed and thriving, so one of them leans in like an old friend and asks if she's been eating something good lately. She waves it off, nothing special. He won't let it drop. We've known each other too long, he says don't hide it, and admits a short contract with her was never on the table. But still, the goddess of abundance softens at that. Then the mood pivots hard. Hae-soo-jin's eyes flip to pure dollar signs, and he turns to her by name, asking if she spotted anything worth pointing out. Hae-soo-jin lays it out. Apples that give more kick than coffee. Tea that kills a hangover. A dewormer that somehow became a spice. Shansu's crops, she says, have absurd effects. Somewhere else entirely, a rival faction is talking business, sizing up whether they've found a follower of abundance to target. One asks it flat, you're the apostle of abundance? Answer comes back sharp, plantation. Their leader is easy about it. No problem, he says. The plan is simple, hit abundance for squatting on Ira's territory. But if abundance disappoints them, the tone drops. Whether it's your hair or anything else, he says, we'll tear it all out and give you the treatment you deserve. Back at the farm, Hae-soo-jin suddenly cries out, Lord Chan, I'm sorry, as the muscular figure grabs and crushes her, seizing her as the threatened target. Someone shouts her name. Was it Miss Soo-jin? Chan-soo just frowns. Sorry for what? Why are you apologizing? He mutters, and shoves the whole thing aside. Abundance has already swallowed every block around them anyway. He grins wide against the sunlit trees and needles his own guys. Hey, you're getting nervous now? One of them threatens back that he'll understand what Ira really is. Their apostle just reclines beside a dark beast, arm behind his head, questioning whether Chan-soo has the right to make every decision for the group on his own. Ira's apostle pulls up a hex map to lay out the ward. White blocks are unclaimed, red is Ira's temple base, and they mean to take back what abundance grabbed. He leans into the threat, close and cold. You'll understand the true meaning of Ira, he says, and the memory floods back. The world was destroyed. Survivors limp through the red-tinted ruins of everything that ended. Quick reset on where we are. Shansu drew the impossible goddess of abundance and's been turning her farming blessings into land and cash, block by block. But rival apostles want that turf back, and right now the vision drags us back to how this whole world even started. A hand hovers over glowing tiles and picks one green block from a checkerboard of worlds. The world of block conquest. Whoever gets sent here fights to own the map. Down in it, a small figure stands under a towering black-spotted claw, totally lost. Then the cold hits. He's stuck alone in a frozen wasteland of ice. He loses it, screaming into the snow. This is ridiculous. No. Is it really gonna end like this? He drops to the ground, clutching at nothing, staring up with no plan and no way out. So a masked companion shows up beside him, and he's not grateful. He snaps. Why are you even following me? If I'd known, I'd have picked the god of injustice, the weakened god, instead. The masked man answers with one flat word. Spell. Then, quieter, he admits he thought exactly the same thing once. The light shifts and shows his bald head plain as day. Back in the present, Shansu studies his own hex map, coldly measuring how much territory he can still claim before rivals lock it down. The sides and back still have room left, he notes, so he's already planning his next expansion. Then the goddess spots something new, holding a yellow object and poking a little blue creature. How interesting, she says. Chansu's ears perk up. Wait, you can use a blessing on people? She fires a blessing straight into a dark-haired guy and green energy explodes out of him. Oh. The guy grabs at his own head, freaking out. How did you do this? Someone's cradling a big fluffy white creature, panicking while the goddess waves Chansu on. Go, of course, try it freely. He picks up the glowing orb. They pour green energy into the orb together, and then comes the question that changes everything. She asks, by chance, do you have an ability that causes hair loss? Shansu admits, yeah, actually I do. She turns it right back on him, mocking hard. You're the apostle of abundance, and you can't even grow hair? No seedling planting? Shansu fires back defensively, but you can tell she's already scheming. She marks something down, then shoves a tablet at a seated woman, who recoils in shock. She just grins and holds it up. I have it, she says. She's cracked the hair growth recipe. She scoops up a bowl of food, satisfied. This should be enough, she decides, then leans on a huge tree and calls out, Primavera, the water spirit. Bring water, please. A man drops to the ground, already scared of what's coming, as she crouches to mix it all in the bowl. Now it's just to mix this, she mutters. This should be enough to see the effect. The stuff hits his scalp and he gasps. I feel like hair is being born. Then it detonates. Hair grew, hair generated more hair, and steam pours off his whole body while she she just watches it cook. The goddess of abundance keeps feeding the guy her hair brew, watching close. Let's keep drinking and see how it evolves, she says. Like this is a science project and not a man cooking on the spot. And it works way too well. The apostles glow, their bodies bulk up, and suddenly there's more of them than before, everyone packed with new muscle. These transformed apostles turn and bow to the goddess, O-chan of abundance they call, treating her like the source of their new power. Then they surge forward, way too strong, begging, please cure us. The very power she gave them, now turning on her as she gets swept up in the crowd. She cries out, pulled and jostled, clutching her little rabbit form. The healer suddenly at the mercy of the ones she healed. Please cure us, they beg her, desperate for more of the blessing. Then the talk shifts to what they've actually got. We already have everything we need, one insists, and a bald apostle nods along about their basic food. He double checks with another. Don't tell me you too, Mary, he says. And the answer comes back, yes, they're all in on this. The power washes over them, and one apostle just shuts his eyes, blissed out. Everything's getting handled, one says, even if it takes a while to fix them all. So now a whole squad of jacked apostles is running on Chansu's blessings. They throw their fists up, cheering, riding the high. And there's Chansu, face red, screaming for the man of the hour. Apostle O Chansu, they all bellow his name. He rolls out the blessed meal like a proud caterer. Soup, rice, baked goods, a drink, egg tofu, the works. A special meal made with blessings, he says. The apostles dig in, groaning with happiness, and he beams. It's delicious, I'm glad they're eating well. Except one spiky-haired guy suddenly loses it, convinced the blessed meal is killing him. Eek, I'm going to die, he shrieks, as the others recoil. Chansu just kicks back, one hand raised all casual, while the poor apostle suffers behind him. He's clearly seen worse and cares about none of it. But the guy pulls through, panting his thanks. Chanyu, much obliged. He manages, and the others shake off the shock too. Then a muscular apostle flexes, his strength surging back so hard that purple shockwaves ripple off him. He's been fully restored, and he's overcome, tears literally streaming down his face. Ooh, oh, he sobs. And he throws up his arms and screams the one word that says it all. Cabello, he yells, surrounded by all his food. Hair. The man is crying over hair. The goddess of abundance and the apostle, genius renegade. He's still going, flexing and roaring, while the goddess watches from below, totally lost. Cabello is what? She says then. Why is he like this? She grabs her head and shouts right back, done with all of it. Then the muscular apostle explains himself, gripping her as he declares it. It grew, everyone was born with hair, he cries. From now on, abundance, he vows, swearing to serve her as his goddess and draw on her blessing forever, pledging himself as her apostle. But there's a catch, and someone finally names it. Their hair falls out the moment they use their power. So they figure, why not test that limit right now? Which means two of them start throwing hands to test how much power the blessing can take before their hair falls out, putting the catch to a real trial. Fists connect, energy blows out, and one of them just yells okay through the chaos. Shansu stands there dead calm, while the muscleheads behind him still freak out over the whole hair thing. He turns to the female apostle and just goes, so? One of them grabs a fancy hand mirror to check the damage, and to his relief, his hair is perfectly intact. Another one strokes the top of his big fuzzy head like he's petting a pet. Then the horned apostle just loses it, wailing to the heavens, God, why give me a trial like this? He drops to a bow and begs, can I at least touch it, please? He touches and yelps, it burns. The scalp is straight up hot enough to fry an egg on. So the female apostle starts problem solving. Does the fuel have to be real hair? Maybe synthetic hair? Or another creature's? Or even a plant could feed the blessing instead? She shoots her own idea down, figuring nothing else survives the heat. The horned man and his buddies panic at the idea that the blessing might not have a workaround, one clambering onto another's shoulders as they all scream in unison and collapse into a frantic wrestling pile. Out of options, a muscular guy slaps his hands on another and bellows, Cabello. It's a blessing meant to grow hair, but it backfires. The aura rips through the target, who drops to his knees, clutching his head in agony. The female apostle stands over two of them with a wooden club while they scarf down bowls of food, noting that even eating right, one guy's arm still wasn't growing much. Then it clicks and she goes, seriously? Finger on her chin, she mutters one word, block. The muscular apostle grins and lays down the logic that matters here. We're brothers, aren't we? That family logic pivots them straight into a new job. A blue portal opens in a snowy forest, and Chansu steps through with an excuse me, cradling a little white rabbit creature. Chansu looks out at a snowy peak and reads it fast. This is a mining block, somewhere to pull resources from. The whole crew gathers, the female apostle in a white cloak wedged between the muscle. Two of the shirtless guys brace against brutal wind and rain, cinching their headbands. Then the group starts hauling up the snowy mountain. Chansu points ahead and names the prize, a cold spiritual herb up there called snowy ice herb. But there's a catch, he explains as they push through the drifts. It sells for a fortune, yet it's useless to them, because every time they eat it, the thing just leaves them weaker. The female apostle's eyes light up anyway. What if we grow a ton of it and sell it even higher? Meanwhile, a pink creature bolts in a panic, while a yellow one clings to it, both squealing, where the hell are we? Chansu holds up a green fruit next to his cloaked partner, then smiles down at the squeaking little creatures and answers them right back. Something smacks the creature's back, and the white-coated figure swings a weapon at Chansu, driving him into a recoil as golden sparks flare. It's a clash breaking out over the creatures, and Chansu suddenly on the losing end of the exchange. When the dust settles, Chansu's holding a glowing green sphere, the payoff from all that chaos. He turns to his little blue water spirit and thanks her by name, Primavera. You did great, thanks for always making the spiritual water, and And she chirps back, thrilled. Jansu eyes his latest batch and figures the spiritual soda's about ready. Is that the soft drink? He says. Looks like it's done. He tilts his head up at the big plant creature towering over him and shrugs off the doubt. I hope it works, he says. We just gotta keep trying. But off to the side, the goddess of abundance is quietly falling apart, mumbling, my apostle, because lately he's been so busy chasing crops and coin that the two of them barely spend